Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes. So with us today we have Godless Sewing.
Yay!
And bringing us the scenery, we have Jenni Morgan.
You forgot who I was, didn't you?
So my real question.
My throat's really bad. It's actually kind of hard for me to talk, so I'm stumbling with words a lot.
She has a cold. She was wandering around in the freezing cold last. I would have caught pneumonia if I was put in your situation.
Oh, and we have Diana joining us.
Yay!
I had some trouble getting on here, but the other machine was being weird. How you guys doing?
Great.
Okay.
So
I was going to start with letting Jenni describe the scenery for us here.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, good. Let's see. Afternoon for anybody in Central Time Zone and East, and good morning for all you other people who are like just behind us all the time. Again, today we are in Pettibone Park, where we have been many times before. At this time, we're in a parking lot just off of a little pavilion that you can be in, and family and friends. That it looks like the size of about a 3-4 car garage, maybe 5. And we're looking at the lagoon or pond or whatever else you want to call it. Kind of in the middle of the park. I'm not sure where it gets its water. Well, I bet it's the Mississippi, but I don't know exactly where it comes in. Maybe it's an underground feed or something. And it's slightly frozen, but it's thawing fast because today it's 64 degrees.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes, it is.
What's the temperature
Is that
right
warm
now?
over there?
Yes, it is.
I have not checked my outside temperatures yet.
It is. Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now, it's 43 degrees Fahrenheit.
It is 43 degrees in California right now.
Ask about Minneapolis. 43?
Yes.
You're having a cold snap.
In Los Angeles, California right now, it is 43 degrees with the sun out.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you can laugh at it.
What I wanted.
If you saw people, they're wearing parkas. People have full ski masks on.
It's 55 here in Pittsburgh.
Last night was even worse. And 2 days ago, the power went out. And if you ever want to watch grown adults go through YouTube withdrawal, just go stand outside of your house.
Oh,
3
my word.
grown adults. My neighbors were like, "Oh man, I was watching a YouTube video." I was too. Good times.
Were you watching me?
Probably. We were having we get rolling blackouts because our infrastructure cannot handle the weather. So whenever it rains or something, it's a guaranteed my Wi-Fi or power is going to go out because our infrastructure is just old.
That is just the amazing stuff. And
Yeah, I don't get with California how ahead they are on everything else. Why the infrastructure is so bad there?
People don't want to pay for it.
The last person to care was FDR. That's how bad our roads are. And so, because if you go to a place like Arizona, they're constantly working on their roads, and their roads are beautiful. Same with Nevada, but you know when you cross the border into California.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Minnesota versus Wisconsin.
Do they take care of their?
Well, to be fair, there are points in Minnesota where just by the sound the tires make on the pavement, you can tell when you crossed into another county.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Oh, and there's bad roads in Minnesota, and we're certainly not perfect here. But coming from Wisconsin, there's like several routes that I can take that start at the Mississippi and go all the way to Lake Michigan. State highways 60, 33,
Yep.
82, 28. And it doesn't matter which one of those state roads I'm on, there is nothing but fucking potholes and broken pavement. It is just pathetic. I mean, there'll be sections where for 5-10 miles there is just nothing but trash. You know, and they're paying as much tax there as they do here. They just have this fucking Republican administration that's busy keeping the money for themselves.
Well, that explains a lot.
I always complain about that because they have money for this beautification program in my town, but they won't fix the roads. We have these beautiful medians. We have palm trees everywhere. We have malls. We have an amusement park in my town, but but the Spanish built our roads. They're so old.
Okay, let's check in with who we've got in the side chat here. I see we got Greg Cartwick, Commander 401. Ken Panda is somebody new here.
Oh my! Hi kids.
We got anyone else lurking out there?
Did you
who
say
hasn't spoken up yet?
Chem? CHEM?
Yeah, CHEM Panda.
Hi, honey. I just met her today.
Oh, okay. Do not know anything about this person. And all I can tell on the icon is it's a person wearing a face mask.
When you see it close up of that avatar with those eyes, your knees will turn into jelly, just like mine.
Yeah, it's just such a tiny picture here. I can't make out any kind of detail.
It's just stunning, and you know how easy I am for a good pair of eyes. And now she's a crush. I have a crush.
Oh, I
on
get
her.
you.
Someone's crushing.
You know.
I get you. I'm one of those people who could actually find a woman sexy in a burqa just from her eyes.
Me
I hear
too. Oh, you would love LA. There's lots of burqas around here.
There's a fair number of them around here too.
It's
actually several women who work in the Walmart downtown wear them when they're working.
Strangely enough, there aren't many of those around here. I mean, there are many enough Muslims here, but they don't wear the. Okay, the burqa is the one that shows only the eyes.
No, that's the niqab. The niqab is the full covered with the gloves. The burqa.
Okay. So the burqa is just the hair covering.
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently, I'm using the term wrong then.
Oh no, it's we're raised. You know, we're a Christian. You know, we were.
No, I
founded
thought
by the Puritans. You know,
I thought a burqa was a top to bottom cover, but they didn't have gloves that I've seen. But they have this mesh for the eyes and nose where you can tell there's a person in there, but you really see them.
That's called full niqab. I might even be saying it right because I don't speak Arabic, but like it's like a slight difference between a cap and a hat.
Okay, what's the hijab?
That's the full kit and caboodle without the gloves and the mask.
See, I thought hijab was just
apparently
the woman's scarf covering.
Okay, according to Google, the hijab is a headscarf that covers the hair, neck, and sometimes the woman's shoulders and chest.
Okay.
The burqa is an enveloping garment that comes in a variety of designs, but typically covers a woman's face and head entirely, and may cover the rest of the body.
And keep in mind, I might be saying it in French because I watch a lot of British television.
Yeah. Yeah, so a hijab covers the hair, but the face is fully exposed. A burqa covers the full face.
Okay.
I might be saying it wrong. I have been known to mispronunciate English.
Well, if you're watching some French shows, you're falling into the problem where we get the names for everything in the Midwest.
That's like Trebuchet.
Yeah,
well,
I maintain that the names for all the places in the Midwest are an English map maker trying to write down a French explorer mispronouncing a Native American word.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you say trebuchet?
I used to say it so much. Oh, I miss my dad. One day he turned and looked at me. He's like, "It's a fucking catapult. Speak English." But
between a trebuchet and a catapult, anyway.
I heard that there's actually a difference between a catapult and a trebuchet. I don't know what it is, but
I think the trebuchet is gravity operated and the catapult is spring operated. Let me look.
Yep, I believe you have it right, Diana. That the trebuchet actually operates on a counterweight, and a catapult uses a spring mechanism.
I had to, in writing, promise my boss, aka mother, that I wouldn't make one on the property. In writing.
I was actually tempted to build one, and there is a group in Wisconsin that every year in October they have a pumpkin chucking competition.
Those are so much fun. Those are so much fun. Pumpkin
Yeah,
chunking.
so I wanted to build a trebuchet to see how far I could throw a pumpkin.
That's a hillbilly sport I could definitely get behind.
Well, they have pumpkin cannons too. You know, I guess there's probably different classes in the competition. You know, for air powered, trebuchet powered, blah blah blah. But some of those cannons I hear it can launch a goddamn 20, 30-pound pumpkin a half a mile.
Static. Is it somebody there or is it me?
I don't know. I was hearing something that sounded kind of like a squeaky spring. I was wondering if it was somebody's chair.
Okay, something's not right here. Let me put this on and see if it's me somehow.
Well, I'm not
remember in the old days of analog phones, how you could be on the phone with somebody and suddenly, and there's not a party line, but a private line, and all of a sudden you can very faintly hear a conversation back and forth in the background.
Oh yeah.
Lasts for a minute or two, and then it goes away. I always thought that was cool.
That had something to do with induction, didn't it?
It's me.
You know, it's really funny. I know about
Commander
phone
401 has advice on the correct ammo for a pumpkin competition. You actually need a different kind of pumpkin, a tougher pumpkin to be able to win the competitions because the force acting on the pumpkin is so great. So yeah, I suppose you need the ones with the thicker rind, otherwise it could crush them as it launches.
So I don't know who introduced this invasive species on the property, but we have gourds. They don't grow that big, but they look like mini pumpkins.
Oh yeah,
yeah. If you have like the hybrid seeds from any kind of squash, the vines will just spread and spread.
Oh yeah, I don't know who brought it on the property, but it's been 20-something years that it just pops up out of nowhere. And also, fire brings life. I know that's weird.
Oh yes, absolutely.
But every time we've had a fire, something new starts growing.
Oh yeah, there are many plants that rely on forest fires. There are certain types of pine cones that the cones will not open until they're subjected to temperatures above 400 degrees.
That's crazy.
So they only open during a forest fire.
Yeah,
so that they can start the new trees when all the other trees have been burned out around them.
I remember when that was discovered. That was back in the age of Smokey the Bear, when you were still going, only you can prevent forest fires. You know,
well, it was an interesting way that they discovered it. Some people that were walking through this area that had burned, a couple of weeks before, and often in the distance there they spotted Yule gibbons crawling.
Gathering the toasted nuts.
I remember him. Oh yeah.
I
remember him doing TV commercials for grape nuts.
Yeah.
I found salvia. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
No, I'm.
After a fire, salvia started growing on the property, and I remember telling people, like, "That's not salvia. I don't believe you." I smoked it. It was salvia.
Oh, that is the only time I've had, a really hallucinogenic. Well, no, actually, the second hallucinogenic experience I had was my fiance had me smoke salvia.
I didn't think it was real.
I was convinced I was in a two-dimensional universe and that I was going to slide off the edge if somebody turned the page.
So you don't want Bob Seger there, right?
Huh? I smoked it and freaked out and ran out of the... That's how I knew it was real.
Never had it myself.
I'd be willing to try it again, but yeah, you definitely need a spotter. You definitely need somebody who's not smoking to, watch out for, make sure nobody gets hurt.
Go
ahead, Jenny.
They're called a trip sitter.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yep.
That phrase.
Actually,
Longer.
after that episode, my fiance said she was no longer worried about me going out alone at night because apparently I was a lot stronger than I looked. Because I was clutching on to the post in the archway, and she was trying to pull me off of it to get me to the bed so I wouldn't hurt myself. And she literally weighed twice what I did and was having a hard time getting me to the bed.
Oh,
I just
there's
want
what I was looking
launch off
for.
on a side point. Trip sitter, yeah, it's a very cool word. We started using it in the '60s, and it was a thing that many people did or had when a group of friends were at a party doing acid. It was actually in the minds of many people considered unethical to have a tripping party without at least one trip sitter per like every five, 6 people.
Okay,
Wow.
I can understand that. Yep.
Same all the way into
Yeah,
the
if you're
90s.
gonna be responsible about it.
We did the same thing. Same drug, same thing. 30 years later, we're doing the same thing.
Yeah. So hippies were not the dirty, stupid drug crazed people you think. They were just drug crazed.
I think about that all the time because my generation, all we did was smoke weed, drink beer, and have sex with each other. Like
Yeah.
we weren't on meth, we were not on heroin. Like we did hippie drugs, but we didn't do downers. I feel sorry for this generation because they're on pills. Do you know one of the reasons like the new age rappers sound so lame is because they're all on cough syrup and codeine or some weird mixture. No.
Oh, jeez.
I'm an upper kind of guy, you know, but like in my day, you would have got laughed at if someone was like, "Hey, you want this cough syrup?" They would have slapped it out of your hand and laughed at you, you know.
Yeah, well, the hippies from the '60s were true socialists. They
Yeah.
believed in everybody watching out for each other.
Yeah, they did. Really.
Truly.
There were a couple traditional '60s hippies living on my street back in the day when I lived in Homewood, and I'll tell you, those people were amazing. Just the way they looked out for each other, and the way they had a simple life and loved every minute of it.
Hey, Stool, why don't you get in here?
And when we finally came down off the drugs, we went out and invented the personal computer and stuff.
There you go.
And started the environmental movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
No, actually, the environment. To be fair, I got to give credit where credit's due. The environmental movement was triggered by Gaylord Nelson, Senator Gaylord Nelson of Wisconsin. He was a naturalist himself, and he realized that the Earth is in trouble, and invented Earth Day and got it passed as a national holiday, or day of recognition. I don't know if it's official holiday. As a day of teaching, that everybody is supposed to take Earth Day to get together and learn about the planet, our environment, how we're fucking it up, and how to do something about it. That was its original intent. It was supposed to kind of be spurred from the energy from sit-ins and stuff about the Vietnam War.
Yep.
And the way I understand it, it really got kicked off when Apollo 8 flew, and we actually got a view of Earth hanging in the middle of space. And I know it's a biblical reference, fuck you. But you know, and the way I understand it, we got the idea of how fragile it is here when we actually
absolutely
see the whole damn thing at once.
Well, it
If
gave
you look-
people a whole different concept of scale.
And also, like, if you look at all the shows that came after that, Blake 7 came out after that, you know, they came out with all these shows that were talking about space. And in Blake 7, every time they showed the shot of any planet, it was that famous shot. They would just paint over it or add a continent or something, you know, but it was that famous shot, you know, and it's used in Star Trek. It's used in, you know, all the early sci-fi.
That photograph, what it came, the actual day that it was released, became the front page picture for almost every fucking major newspaper in the world.
Yeah.
I could picture it now. That's awesome. That is just such an iconic picture. Just like the first spacewalk with the guy floating in space.
Yeah.
Edward
That's
White.
Iconic picture.
The event I really remember that really I'm surprised seems largely forgotten is the Apollo Soyuz hookup in space.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
You know that.
And who was Edward White's partner in the Gemini capsule
Jim
that-
McDevitt.
that did the first? I thought it was James Lovell.
No, that Borman and Lovell flew Gemini 7.
And didn't
Oh, okay.
they?
All right.
Didn't they miss the moon? Am I wrong?
What? Where? When?
Like Lovell had to come back.
Oh, right, because that was Apollo 13. That's the one.
Yes,
that blew up.
yeah. Okay. I get him. Honestly, I get him all bejumbled after a while.
Mhm.
But Lovell had a famous speech of like, I could have touched the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and What's interesting is Apollo 13 is still the farthest people have ever gone from Earth, because the way they flew the trajectory, they flew out farther than they were supposed to.
Oh, interesting point. I never realized that.
Crazy. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, they went out on a hybrid trajectory. 11 and 12 used a free return where you didn't have to spend any fuel to get back to Earth. They just looped around the moon. The hybrid trajectory was quicker, but you would have to burn in order to come back to Earth if something went wrong. And they did. This is where you have the famous recordings of the I can't find the Earth. I can't find the Earth. One of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that we could bottle the emotion and the sense of unity the whole planet felt in those days when Apollo 13 was trying to get back.
I
Oh,
feel
I-
like
I really think Apollo 11 is the one that people think is our greatest moment.
No, it's
But
not.
that's when everything went as planned. I thought Apollo 13 was our greatest moment, when things went horribly wrong, and yet we still got everyone back alive.
I'm with you. Yeah. I mean, the reason I am so enamored of Apollo 11 is simply that they landed on my birthday. That's it.
You see, I feel like this is history that's already being forgotten.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah, it is.
This is the history that we should be teaching our kids.
Hey,
And there's
here's
a little bit of
curiosity.
fanfare
Is-
every time we drop a robot around a new planet or on a moon. But
No,
yeah,
I imagine-
people forget the level of risk that was involved for actually putting human beings out there.
Oh,
My-
yes.
Because my dad worked for Rocketry and NASA and Boeing, whenever someone would touch down on the West Coast near our house, we would go and watch them get retrieved and everything. It was an event,
Okay, then.
especially if they were near Santa Monica because they got
Yeah,
good
I
food.
could only watch them on TV because I was never close to the ocean for it.
I want to ask that something. Now, I don't know who's out in the chat. How many we got out there?
Well, we got
900 million.
Stool, Nerdy, and Ox have come in now, along with Greg Hartwick and Commander 401 and Ken Panda.
Yeah, this thing says we've got
Okay,
9.
there's two people out there. I don't know their ages and stuff, but I wish we had 1,000 people so I could ask this question. Certainly, you've heard of the space flights we're talking about, or I would suspect you would. Or Ken Panda, you're in Britain, so maybe not. Maybe you haven't heard about those, but any American, I would think, has heard about them discussed as they're growing up. But have you ever heard them discussed in a casual fashion that we're doing here with people who lived through it? And I'm just wondering how that affects you as a person that didn't experience that period of time and stuff.
Yeah.
Does it bore you? Does it make you crazy? Or what's it feel like from your end?
I think it's weird that we don't have an active space program. Ever
But we
since
do.
No, I know, but not like when I was a kid. We had shuttles. I can go to the Ronald Reagan Museum right now and go see the Columbia. It's in the hangar. or wherever they retired it. I saw it at the Reagan.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it is weird that the U.S. did not have any successor to the space shuttle. That we do not have a vehicle that is capable of taking people up to the space station.
And after the relaunch, after
we do now.
Challenger, they really pushed NASA. Like
Yeah.
I had NASA t-shirts, I had NASA shorts. Like they literally called it the relaunch when they
What
started.
were you saying there, Diana?
Well, they really do have something that'll take people to the shuttle now. You have the Dragon.
Yeah, well, they're private corporate things. It's not NASA.
Yeah, and I think this is the way that spaceflight is going to go now, where you've got government paving the way, and then once you figure out what you need to do, then industry takes over.
Yeah.
Well, remember the flight that's planned for 2024, which may be 2025 now, is a NASA effort. It's NASA's paying Boeing to or Lockheed this time to build the capsule. The SLS is
I was
going
going to is that
the
the SLS?
biggest
Yeah,
rocket
okay.
ever freaking made. It's
Oh, I saw a picture of it yesterday. Where's my magazine? I get Scientific American, which is not near me right now, but they've been talking about it for a while. It's gonna be amazing.
so they've had to reinvent all the technology to accomplish this, but on a digital platform. It was all analog before, and none of the equipment that they used is even built today. It's so antique. It'd be like
Oh my.
vacuum tube radios. It's
Okay, Commander 401
Oh, that's awesome.
says SpaceX is probably going to go bankrupt next year because of Starlink. Ooh.
I had heard some things in the news about that. Yeah, SpaceX was basically bankrupting.
That could be trouble because I mean that's our way up to the station right now.
NASA was just tied into that nationalistic false pride that everybody had that made us think in America that we were better than everybody else.
Yeah, we went to the moon. What did you do this week?
Yeah.
Basically speaking.
So it's just a shame to see it not be as prevalent as it was.
Well, it was the space race. That's exactly what it was. I mean, yes, there was a lot of science involved, but it was really about national prestige. It was about proving which country had the superior science.
Yeah, national dick waving, basically. Yeah.
Yep.
I think.
Thank you, Diana.
Because I grew up around the industry. Like I was caught up by the propaganda because I would go to the Boeing factory where they would have like a 200-foot flag on the hangar. Propaganda works.
Yeah.
I'm still pro NASA to this day.
Oh, so am I. We had NASA Lewis in Cleveland, which I visited many times. NASA Lewis is now NASA Glenn. I tell you, the facilities they had, the facilities that did not go into orbit were at least as fascinating as the facilities that did.
Absolutely.
They had 3 wind tunnels there, which I had never seen anything like them before. One was a supersonic wind tunnel, and then there was another one that was specialized in some way. And you stand in one of these things, and you look up one end, and you look down the other end. The stainless steel tube, and you're thinking the air going through there at Mach 3 or something like that. It's totally amazing. They also had one of those drop things. I don't remember what they called it, but it was a
drop bear.
Yeah, okay. It was a 500-foot hole in the ground where
and there's Jeff.
Oh yay! Where you basically winched something up to the top of this hole. You sucked all the air out of it, and then you dropped it to test the zero gravity effects. And at the bottom was this big barrel of. It looked like expanded polystyrene, but they were little plastic peas that somehow absorbed all of the energy of this fall within maybe 4 feet. And when you stuck your hand in there, God, it was a very weird feeling.
What were they dropping?
They would drop, for example, parts of spacecraft or entire satellites, or just to see to make sure they got it right for the zero G part of things. It was about I'd say about 10 feet in diameter.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You reminded me of something that I saw at Rocketry when I was a kid. My dad helped engineer the tiles on the space shuttles for reentry.
Oh, wow.
And they would test them. And it was one of the most spectacular things because you would go in a room that was basically above an oven. And they would shoot unreal temperatures at these tiles and see which ones failed. They would put faulty tiles in on purpose. It was an experience.
I loved watching the early demos that they would put on TV for the public to see of those tiles, and they'd fire up some oxyacetylene torch and splatter one side of it, and then somebody'd be touching the other side, 2 inches
Oh, hell
thick,
yeah.
and there's no heat transfer.
I still have all the pictures from my dad's office. Like, those are just good memories for me because I remember wandering around there as a kid, Good times.
Well, I'm so jealous of you.
Okay,
That I would have loved to have a dad that worked for NASA.
Let's see if we can do this right. This is the facility I was talking about here, where you would drop something from the top.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah. And it was just an amazing thing, especially that stop at the end, because within 4 feet, all of the energy was dispersed.
That's awesome. And Nerdy, you get the comment of the day.
hey, Robert.
What's the comment of the day?
We tried to keep the panel on topic, but it was like herding cats.
Oh wow, normal, isn't it?
I love it when people bring things full circle.
Did we have a topic?
It was herding cats.
Do we ever?
Oh,
Okay, Robert X is asking if it was faulty tiles that made Columbia blow up.
Okay. Well, Columbia
the first one?
Or Ox was, rather, sorry.
Columbia
The
is
first
one that burned up on reentry, right?
No, that's the one that
was the Challenger.
Yeah.
The Challenger blew up on the way up.
Yeah.
No, Columbia.
Okay, yeah, I think we're getting them confused. I think it was Columbia that exploded on launch, and
Yeah.
Challenger exploded on reentry.
Exactly.
Ox, what happened was that on the side boosters, which were solid fuel rockets, they were built in segments like most rockets are, and between each segments there were various ways of sealing them from having the gases escape, and one of the main components was an O-ring.
Yep.
And on the day that they launched, the temperature was below 32 degrees, and the materials had not been proven at those temperatures. And there were people that said, don't launch. We don't know about those O-rings, including Richard Feinstein,
Yeah.
who even did a little demo on TV where he took the O-ring material.
I remember.
Put it in
I
ice.
remember that.
Yeah, well,
See,
with
it
them
doesn't work.
sitting on the launch pad overnight, that they were subjected
Yeah,
to below
yeah.
freezing temperatures for
And
many
so
hours.
what happens, it went up, and when the booster burned far enough, because it was solid fuel it had to get through, and it reached the segment with the O-ring in question, it blew through the O-ring and hit the external tank and lit the candle.
Poof.
Yeah.
Yep. And this is why, to this very day, I don't like solids when people are involved, because you can't shut the damn things off.
Yeah, well, that's what's going to be on the sides of the SLS is a couple of
Yeah,
shuttle
I really
boosters.
don't like that. Yeah, but who listens to me?
Not NASA.
No.
We do.
But as far as I'm concerned, the Russians have it right with that one, because their Soyuz launch vehicle has the 4 auxiliary boosters, but those are liquid fueled.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if the Russians would have beat us to the moon if the engineers didn't keep drinking the fuel. No, this is not a joke. This
No,
is
it's real.
legitimate
Yeah.
fact.
It's real.
It's
That
still
their fuel
hilarious.
kept disappearing because they were actually fueled with a crude form of vodka.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh,
For you guys in chat that aren't into rockets and stuff like that, it's amazing what you can use as rocket fuel. There are some amateurs who are into building rockets that can go supersonic and as high as they can. The amateur record is like 132,000 feet.
Mhm.
And they have built rockets out of old tires. They take tires and they melt down the rubber, pack it inside a cylinder, and it will burn. We all know that. And if you just add an oxidizer like liquid oxygen or a real popular one is hydrogen peroxide, it will burn in the rocket and send your ass off into space.
The other one, you don't get to 100,000 feet with it, but you can get some pretty impressive results. Is sugar and saltpeter.
And do not take any medical advice from anyone on the panel. And if you live in Southern California and buy a large amount of hydrogen peroxide, you could get arrested.
Yep. And whatever you do, do
What
not drink
drugs
your rocket
do you
fuel.
make with that stuff?
There are videos on YouTube that show the process that these people use to build some of these rather impressive rockets.
There was this when I say poor guy, I mean like, oh, woe is me. Some poor guy.
Right.
He worked for a beauty salon, and he just happened to be of Middle Eastern descent.
Oh,
and
no.
He went to Home Depot and bought pallets worth of hydrogen peroxide. They sent the FBI and Homeland Security to his house. And he's like, I do hair.
So wait a minute. What do you make with it? Some explosive or something, or what?
No, it's used as an oxidizer.
I don't even want to say what you could do with it.
Yeah, they probably come to your door.
Fuel, combustion requires fuel, oxygen, and ignition. And, you can use anything that burns for the fuel. Some things burn better, but you can use anything that burns for fuel. If you provide an oxidizer, a source of oxygen more than the standard atmosphere, you will accelerate that burn and give it more energy and make it do what you want it to do.
Problem with hydrogen peroxide, though, is it doesn't keep very well. I mean, it eventually degrades into water and oxygen gas.
Okay, Commander 401 says he used to use sugar sorbitol and any powdered oxidizer. Sorbitol stays plasticky sticky after it cools, so it's easier to work with. Used in model rockets when Bush was president.
It's so funny when he who shall not be named was president. I thought back and I was like, wow, George Bush wasn't that bad.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I hated
that was kind of a running joke through his presidency that, Bush was just jumping for joy saying, I'm not the worst president in history.
I flew model rockets in the black powder days back in the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, I built some model rockets in the 70s. I never packed my own engines. I just used the ones that were pre-sold from Estes.
That was the safest way to go.
I still use black powder. I have an Enfield and a Confederate Colt.
I have made black powder.
Purple, how did you ignite the engine?
I used an electronic igniter, so I could just, run a 50-foot wire and stand off at a safe distance.
We used about 1.5 inches of JetX fuse and had to go up to it with a match.
Basically, it wasn't really even an electric igniter as such. It was just a battery and creating a short circuit until it created so much heat under it that it set it off.
Using nichrome wire.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man, I remember those days very, very well. That was fun. I liked that stuff.
Yeah, I lost my last one because coming down the parachute got tangled in the power lines.
Oops.
So I could see it hanging up there, but was no way to get to it.
More than one we lost when the parachute would deploy and then the shock cord tore out of the rocket body. So here comes this thing down at terminal velocity. One guy almost got hit, That was somewhat unfortunate.
I
It came
did
down
pretty
right in
good with
front of him.
landing deployment. I didn't really, all of mine came back in a state that it didn't take much to get them ready to launch again.
Okay.
Where I
But it
live,
was
it's
just that one I lost because, when I was in a good sized field, it's just a gust of wind came up after the parachute deployed.
We
Here-
built the most unstable, well, it wasn't not really unstable, but the most bare minimum rocket ever. We bought one of the Estes engines. It was a C series, which had a long
Oh,
in the P series.
I can hear it coming.
And we made a little cardboard light, tag board, like a file folder on cardboard, and glued that on, and then made 4 fins that were about 3-4 inches long, and extended about 3 inches past the body of the rocket engine. Glued those on and lit the fucker. And man, did it go. It was, no rocket body tube or none of that bullshit. We didn't care. But it went straight up, completely out of sight. When it hit its ejection charge, it blew the little cone that we built off. But we got to see the flash, and so we knew where it was. And then we just kind of like waited and watched and waited and watched. And all of a sudden, this empty, thick, fairly heavy chunk of cardboard comes down and rocketing down and buried itself 3 inches into the ground.
Yep.
Oh,
good
boy.
old days. We had a lot of trees around
We were
here.
stupid kids.
Like we had rockets, but where I live, it's lots of trees, so it always got stuck in a tree somewhere.
Yeah, we had a golf course at the head of the street I lived on, which was a really great place to fly from.
We had farmer fields all over the place, and there were no trees whatsoever.
Okay.
It was fun.
Yeah, I usually went out to one of the school athletic fields on a weekend. Just launched out of the middle of the football field.
We wanted to go out and meet up with some of the remote control airplane dudes and try to shoot them down.
That remote control helicopters and planes are a lot more hard than they look. You have to know power, pitch, roll, and yaw. Like you basically have to know how to fly a plane.
Oh yeah, landing those without damaging them is a real trick.
I knew a guy who built a helicopter, using the kits and stuff that were out there. It was very sophisticated. It was about 3 feet long and weighed about 15 pounds, I think. But he could not get it off the ground without it tipping and crashing. And he tried and tried and tried and tried for months,
So
and
we
just could not fly the damn thing.
So, okay, here we go. He couldn't get it up, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I had to do that. You know that, right?
Oh yeah, that's perfectly.
Well, yeah, we all know that, rockets are just symbolic phalluses anyway, so.
It's kind of like when you out here, there are people who need giant trucks. People, where I live, it's a weird mix between the suburbs, city, and the desert, but every once in a while, it's not rare to see somebody with a giant truck, and we know what they're overcompensating for. I mean, with the monster tires, and it's not rare to see someone like.
Well, whenever I see one of those, shiny, polished pickup trucks, that it's obvious they've never put cargo in the back, I just scream, "Sorry about your penis."
Yeah.
Like mine is a ranch vehicle. You can see all the dings and hits and nicks and where people flick cigarettes out and almost set the upholstery on fire,
Oh, Jesus, yeah. No, wait a minute. Oh,
Robert X worries me now. He made nitroglycerin.
Hey, Robert.
Man.
There's a guy. Oh, sorry.
That's harder than it looks because it gets hot when you're making it. And yeah, you have to make sure you keep it nice and cool so it doesn't auto detonate.
You have to, don't you have to extract that from dynamite?
Yeah.
No, you can make it with high YouTube, high Homeland Security. You can make it with with glycerin, nitric acid, and sulfuric acid.
Oh, they flagged us like 20 minutes ago, Diana.
Yeah.
Well, actually, at one time when I was in New York, I did get a federal investigator knocking on my door because they had me on the list for buying pseudoephedrine for my allergies, and I bought some industrial grade ammonia.
Okay.
I'm
So
telling you.
I had to take him into my shop and show him that I had been contracted to build an ammonia refrigeration system.
Same thing here. If you do something that's a bit sniffy, you will have
Yeah.
federal agents at your house.
Yeah,
Same
they think you're
thing
going to
here.
be doing a whole shitload of birch reductions. No, they are pretty, but no, I'm not doing any of them.
I actually lived when I was, gosh, this was 23 years ago. I had a friend who lived on the nicer side of town, and we're all sitting in his living room, and his neighbor, who we knew, went AWOL from the Marines, and
boy.
they sent real feds with suits on them. And keep in mind, I'm sitting in a room with 7 African American individuals. They were some of the most gangster people I've ever known. They were people I grew up with, really, nice guys. But we're smoking weed. 3 federal agents, they didn't knock. They opened my friend's door, walked in, and they were like, "Where's so and so?" 8 people pointed. They're like, "He's next door." Every single person was like, "Nope, he's right next door." Because we realized that these were real feds. Like, we thought we were tough, but these were like real federal agents who were not effing around.
It's easier to shoot you than fill out the paperwork for an arrest.
Oh no, we were like, "Nope, he's right there. Do you need help?"
When I lived in Milwaukee, my next door neighbor was this guy. He was a landlord, and he had an upper flat that he rented out, and he rented it to this guy named Don, who was turned out to be an ex-priest, and he just couldn't deal with the church anymore. And
I know plenty of those.
It was pretty clear, and this is going to be very stereotypic of me, so don't hate me. I realize that it's a stereotype. Does not include everyone. Anyways, he was very blatantly flaming kind of gay guy.
Okay, fine.
But so what? Nobody cared. I met several of his friends, and we were buds and hung out at the fence, talking to each other many, many times. And then one morning, at about 7:30 a.m., I was just about to head out for work, and I hear this rather loud noise of cars pulling up and lots of car doors opening and closing, and I look outside, and here's these people in black suits. one of them with a bunch of envelopes, and the others with guns, and they circle the house. And I'm going like, holy fuck, what's going on? And they arrested Don for child pornography, and I don't know what the actual charge is for having sex with underage. Well, it's rape of underage boys, and took him away, and he'll probably never see the light of day again.
Ooh,
Just
yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, a lot of that happened around here too.
Well, I'm in the same boat with Sarah that, for my writing, I have to look up all kinds of stuff. So if they're tracking my Google search, there's even stuff on that on building a lot of strange weapons and how to shoot down something in orbit.
Are you kidding me? But I have a 12-year-old with autism. If you saw my search history, you would laugh. I'm surprised they haven't come to my house yet.
Maybe they have.
I knew she was way too nice, too hot. She probably was a federal agent. Some rando came to my house and was way too nice to me.
Hey, I got a little surprise yesterday. I was home and knock on the door. I answer the door, and it's a UPS guy, and he gives me this package, and I take it inside and open it up, and it was a new skirt that I had bought almost a year ago and went on back order, and I completely forgot. And all of a sudden, so I got a free skirt yesterday, as far as I'm
I
concerned.
remember you telling me about that and how annoyed you were, like 6 months ago that kept getting delayed.
That is very yay.
It showed up and it's lovely.
So you finally got it. Cool.
It's just a simple navy crinkle skirt. But it's my favorite kind of skirt.
Oh my. This is being all kinds of foo-foo.
Yeah, I'm not going for a high fashion look. I need low maintenance.
Go bohemian.
I'm still going to
Low
stick to mostly
maintenance is
denim.
good.
Go bohemian.
No,
High
I
fashion
like
is pretty
denim.
good.
I'm gonna have like denim skirts of different lengths and denim jackets.
I like denim skirts.
That's bohemian.
Okay, you consider that bohemian? I guess I don't really have a definition for what bohemian is.
Well, remember, lots of towns used to have these clothing stores in the hippie neighborhoods that were owned and operated by people from India, and they would import all kinds of different incense burners and
I remember those kind of stores
and clothing and Indian women's clothing was very popular, and so a lot of the bohemian look that is so popular today came from that with the poofy blouses and the long skirts, crinkle skirts came from that. A lot of them had belts that were textile, and the ends were 2 feet long, 2.5 feet long, and fringes, and all that kind of bells and stuff, and embroidery, and just all this beautiful stuff.
And the incense burners were really popular in the college towns in the 70s.
Yes, they were for some reason.
Really, really good to answer what Seraphim Hyde is saying all the time, because I'm around a lot of old school people. They'll say, oh, all your son needs is a good ass whooping, or if he spends a week with me. The truth is, my son would probably end up fighting that person and whooping that person's ass. Is what a lot of people, they don't get autism and they think they could yell it out of somebody or train someone to not be autistic, and that's just torture. And
well, that's what Autism Speaks is all about. That they think that they can, do some kind of treatment, including electroshock, and somehow condition the kids to not behave that way anymore.
So, and people trash all kinds of therapies. ABA works, but it also there's better processes now. So it's considered an archaic way, but it worked. It worked with my son. Isaiah didn't, believe it or not, Isaiah didn't speak until he was 4 years old.
Okay, I can believe that.
Neither did Albert Einstein.
Didn't say a word.
Now what I don't know is, was that what's the word I'm looking for? Was that apocryphal? When Einstein was asked why he didn't speak until it was so late, he said, "I had nothing to say."
I've heard that.
I've heard that. I didn't know if it was, anything based on anything, or if it was just a legend.
Especially in the world of the internet. Whenever I see a quote now, I'm like, I don't know if that person really said that or not.
Good attitude to take.
Because, there's so much plagiarism and people claiming to be someone they're not. And that's as far as writing goes. Because on the internet, you could say anything.
Yeah.
But anybody who is autistic or has autistic kids, Dick Dawson and Amy Hogan are both single parents raising autistic kids. They talk about it a lot. They had done a show on autism. They did 2 seasons, but Boolinator was their producer. So that kind of, when he died, they're still planning to pick it up again. They're still planning to do a new season soon. But I do recommend you go to the Shills channel and you look up the old episodes of the Autism Show. There's a lot of good information in there.
And Dick and Amy are so perfect for it because they both have those absolutely golden voices.
Yeah, and both of them, their kids are teenagers now, so they've dealt with it for quite a while.
I think also you just need more exposure because there are a lot of autistic people out there and they're going to grow up. and you're gonna have to deal with them, you know.
Uh-huh.
So I think
Yeah,
we have
that's
to
the thing. The general public needs to be educated about how to deal with these people.
Oh yeah, in
Oh,
my town,
absolutely. Yeah.
Isaiah and I are famous where I'm from. I call it forced tolerance when we go in public. You will tolerate my child. But I grew up around special needs adults, so I've always been like, no matter what a person's doing, you have to accept them. You know.
Will, do you ever watch the let's see, ABC show called The Good Doctor?
I've heard of it.
No, and I'll just tell you really quick because and I know what you're talking about. His portrayal is not that bad, but there are some portrayal of autistic children, adults, teenagers that are cringeworthy. That are so like Rain Man 1980s, Broca Divide, like, you know, it's just language we don't even use anymore.
Mm-hmm. I was just wondering how realistic the whole scenario would be, that an autistic person who
It's
still exhibits to that degree becoming a doctor. I know an autistic person could become a doctor.
Well,
but
I haven't watched that show. I don't know if anybody here saw the show Monk.
Oh, I know about my
well,
ex-wife liked that one.
Yeah, he played an autistic with severe OCD.
Monk was
autistic?
autistic?
And there was a lot in that show that I could relate to.
Monk was autistic?
My ex-wife that liked that one.
Well, there's a lot of overlap between the symptoms of autistic and OCD. So I don't know if the show officially said he was autistic, but being autistic myself, you know, I could see a lot of that in there. Fortunately, I don't have too much of the OCD. It only shows up on a couple of weird little things.
I didn't think I was total OCD, but Isaiah totally exposed me. I have crazy habits. Like I habitually think that I didn't close my garage door, or, you know, there's just little quirky things that I do. I'll turn around in my car to look.
If I get in the car and Sloth Girl's been driving, even before I adjust the seat, I have to adjust the steering wheel cover so that the seam is at 6 o'clock.
I have quirks like that too. They,
you know, and
crazy.
And like when I'm adjusting the volume on the computer or the car radio, car stereo, I have to watch the numbers because it always has to be a multiple of 8. And that comes from carpentry.
You know, my for as much as I loved my father, he used to drive me mentally insane because we lived near each other, and he would take my truck, and when he brought it back, same thing. The seat would be somewhere else, or, you know, it was always something. But now that you know, he's passed, nobody's touching my stuff. So when I get in my car, it's still on the same radio station. It's still in the same position, you know. Even if I
last night, Claire Bear was doing a stream last night about, or actually early this morning, I think, you know, about OCD things and autism, and just, you know, the kind of the unique talents that some autistic people have. And, you know, one of the things I've always been aware of is that I can always tell if somebody's been in a room since last time I was there. Even if they don't think they moved anything, they'll have bumped something that will be, you know, just a fraction out of position. And I will always pick up on all that. I don't know how. I don't consciously remember the details. But I can always tell that one object has been moved.
Same here. I had my brother, his wife, his son, my mother, and my son in my house on Sunday. We were decorating my Christmas tree because my mom has gone full nihilist and she does not celebrate Christmas anymore. And
one of the other things when I moved into this apartment that drove me nuts is one of the 3-way switches was installed upside down.
That would drive me nuts.
So that with all the lights off, one of the switches was always pointed up. and it just drove me nuts until I actually had to take it apart, and I had to turn the switch over myself.
I have one of my major quirks with that is in the land of desktop publishing typesetting. It makes me mad that some people make certain mistakes. One common one, not terribly common, but it does happen. When somebody puts a B on something upside down, because the bottom loop of the B, of a capital B, is slightly bigger than the top loop.
Yeah.
And if they reverse that, it's just, no, that's wrong. That's got to change. And then at home, when they built this new freeway, and they had in each bridge the name of the street that the bridge is cast into the concrete, and they flipped the casting for the B upside down.
Oh.
And it just like every time I drive this,
and it's literally cast in stone.
Did you have like hardcore writing teachers when you were a kid?
Yeah. We had, let's see, second and third grade were absolutely commandants when it came to speed, reading, spelling, English pronunciations, all that kind of stuff.
Same.
And it really took. And I'm just absolutely compulsive about typesetting. And when I make a typo in Twitter makes me so mad because you can't correct.
And they still haven't fixed that either.
You make a correction, you send it, and it reverts back to what it was. Well, I have learned a secret about that. If you make your corrections and at the very end of your text, you put a second period, it keeps the corrections.
Really?
I can't explain how. I happen to make the mistake, discover it by accident.
I know why this isn't working. Okay.
When Twitter asked me to pay a month ago or whenever that was, when they asked me to pay for their service, and they said, "Oh, do you have any do you have anything to say?" I was like, "Yeah, you need an effing edit button."
Hey, Demon.
First thing I said.
Got Demon Orb joining.
I hate the typos because it makes you look fucking stupid. I know the difference between there.
What really annoys me on Twitter is, still the character limit, because, I wind up having to edit it. I wind up having to intentionally remove punctuation marks and, leave out some of the small words just so I can fit everything in.
It's comma space, damn it. And if I have to take that space out.
So I have the same problem that Sarah's bringing up right now for using British English. I get corrected all the time by people. They're like, "Where are you from?" Because I'll say like the loo or something, because I watch way too much British television.
Yep. I had the same thing when I was in school, and I had actually picked up some of the British spellings, some of the words where they reverse the E and the R at the end and things like that. And I kept it marked down for those.
What did I miss? Because I'm looking at Sarah's comment about HSI, and I don't know what that is offhand.
I don't know what HSI is either.
So for having,
I failed a few essays for HSI. Now I don't know. Is that a miss? Is that a typo?
I'm not sure what HSI is. I just was assuming it was a reference to high school.
And then you said for using British English. Okay, so maybe that makes sense.
So I've been watching a lot of Nigerian television, and I had all that Purple. You've seen my video about how much vinyl material I had, and I made myself an African hat. I'm gonna wear it too. Oh my gosh, I look like I'm from Nigeria.
Yeah, we gotta show it off here.
I even put it on my giant ears too, because in Africa they show their giant ears. So and I made a vest out of jeans.
Yeah, I actually do think that in Africa, from my understanding, I forget their word for it, but what they call elephant ears is actually considered kind of a sex symbol.
Oh yeah, it's positive to have big body parts. But I made this vest. I put lining in it and everything.
Yep. Oh yeah, well, big body parts. I mean, yeah,
Well,
so,
I'm
some of the African celebrities, some of the women there, yeah, the biggest booties you've ever seen.
exactly. Esther recently put a video of a woman dancing in church, and she was just shaking her butt, and I watched that thing like 9 times. There's some lovely, lovely women in Africa.
You love big
I
booties.
don't know about you, honey.
Oh yeah, me too. You know, actually, what will catch my attention first is really big round hips.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I am not a big booty fan. Kim Kardashian, I think, is just abhorrently ugly with all the implants that she's had done in her.
See, but that's not like a set. Like I almost said something that was very LA and almost not politically correct. But there are certain people that are born that way. She wasn't.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that. Yeah, she had hers silicone. It's all
Like,
artificial, and that's just she took it to an extreme, and it's just
I
silly.
agree.
Yeah,
It's to the point where she literally will sue you if you take a picture of her on the beach and it's not photoshopped. And because I know way too much business about the Kardashians, her sister got caught using some program that photoshops you while you're online.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
not surprised.
Because they've had such massive plastic surgery, they don't want to see that what's her face looks like Michael Jackson now. But I'm from LA, and every other woman looks like Michael Jackson.
I tell you,
True, it's true.
the whole plastic surgery thing. I've seen some people. There was a transgender porn star. I think her name was Solka or something like that, who had a lot of facial plastic surgery.
Oh
And
yeah,
it looked like something went horribly wrong.
Oh, I have to look now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to come up with a word to describe the way her face looked. It looked like something from another
broken.
planet.
Yeah, I
Broken.
know what you mean. And yeah, some of these people obviously have really bad body dysphoria.
Well,
You
what
know,
Absolutely.
really
they
bothers
think
me
they
about
look
it
good
then
that way. They're not really seeing their own reflection.
is that the media then picks up on that and exalts this person as like their favorite trans person, that this is trans, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Most
Oh,
of us want to look like a mom from 1950. What are you talking about?
But they do the same thing with Botox here in LA. Like nowhere else is it normal to get botulism put in your face. Nowhere else is it normal to get a skin peel where they're taking layers off of your face. But it's normal around here to see a woman walking around with half her face missing because she's waiting for it to heal, or her lips are so swollen that she can't breathe through her nose.
Okay, then. Yeah.
Not around here, it's not rare at all because there's so much plastic surgery, Botox, the what was it? The Brazilian butt lift. They had to make it illegal because so many people were getting it. Plastic surgery is huge here. It's huge.
I was always raised, like I was raised in a medical family, and we were exposed to all kinds of doctors, all kinds of nurses, all kinds of specialties. And I was always taught by the plastics I knew that the art of plastic surgery is that you can't tell when it's done.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
always
Yeah,
a healing
you've got to
period,
try to make it look
scarring,
natural.
but after it's healed, you should not be able to tell it was ever touched.
So
Well,
I'm
and
gonna-
that's definitely for me that, if I can tell that it's artificial, it really puts me off.
So my grandmother was a beautiful woman, and she lived to be 99 years old. And when she passed, I made a remark. I was like, "Wow, she died. Her skin was so perfect. It was so remarkable." My mom looked at me and was like, "Man, your grandma got a facelift in the early 70s." But my whole point was I never knew. I
Yeah.
never knew that she just, and she aged with her facelift.
Yeah.
But she always looked younger to me, and there was a reason why, because she got a facelift.
My mom had work done. It was kind of spur of the moment. One of the plastic men that she knew, did it for free, and it was just bags under the eyes. How that happened. He just took them out, and walked home the same day, and she was swollen and black and blue for a week or two, and afterwards you couldn't tell.
No, I
But
get the
look,
whole
30 years younger.
eyes thing. I'm pretty sure you can see what I've got right now.
I hate to out myself and be pretentious, but if I ever can afford it and I need it, I'll get plastic surgery at the drop of a hat.
If I win the lotto, you'll be on my list.
I could use some plastic surgery, but I'll never be able to afford it.
My thing is, like, I have the money, but I stop myself from crazy expenditures. I wanna my dad died with money because he never spent it.
Okay,
Like,
then.
he was a miser, and so I try not to go crazy and buy stupid things. And plastic surgery is something I don't need.
Well, that's why I say if I win the big lotto, you're on my list. I'll give you whatever you want.
Yeah,
I
I'm
could use an aftermarket
kind of up
puppy.
in the air about it. I'm with transitioning. I can see some points where the surgery would help, but I don't know if I want to, really go under surgery just for appearance.
I'm 50-50 on that. I know where Ox is coming from because I'm the exact same way. And then I had a really good friend who was a porn star, and she had this just perfect body, but she had fake boobs. I don't know. I'm like 50-50 on it. It's one of those weird things. I'm all about body positivity. So if you like who you are, I'm for it, I
Yeah,
try not to judge too hard.
I think Robert X is right. The problem with a lot of people is they don't know when to stop.
Exactly.
They rather get addicted to it, and they keep thinking that something's not quite right. They've still got to, tweak this feature.
I know
Tattoos.
somebody like that.
Tattoos are the same
She's
way.
always getting procedure after procedure after procedure in the hope that her boyfriend would find her attractive. And the problem was I wasn't able to say anything because she wasn't going to hear it. Yeah, one of the trans girls I knew in the group, the gender group thing that we had going was like that, and I felt so bad for her.
Same thing here in LA. 23 years ago, I didn't even know that the fake butt thing was real until I started living in Hollywood. And when I lived in Hollywood, I made a comment about a woman I knew, and a friend of mine was like, "Man, she got a fake butt like a year ago." Because I was like, "Wow, she looks different." I was trying to be polite.
If
So
I
yeah,
had the money, I would probably have a lot of work done. None of it would be radical, because I don't want to come out looking like Kim Kardashian. But my dysmorphia is so bad that it has led me down a very, very dark road. And
yeah.
And for me, it's I'm in therapy so that I could learn to accept the fact that I'm never going to be any different, and I'm going to die this way. And it really hurts a lot.
Yeah, I know the feeling, and I wish there was something I could do, but yeah, I'd really like a rack that stayed in place when I took my bra off. I'd like to be able to drop my panties and see what belongs there instead of what is there.
Well, I think everyone has an image in their mind of what they'd like to look like, which is generally unachievable. And it's a matter of being realistic about it. And yeah, I mean, there's things about my body I'd like to change, but I kind of have to accept that, I'm never going to be as cute as I could have been if I had done this in my 20s. It's just not possible.
Yeah, moo.
You know, my pops used to always say, you know, no matter what you look like, when you look in the mirror, you kind of have to like who you are because you're stuck with it. And that's how I look at myself, like,
Yeah.
I'm stuck with it, you know. So I'll do
Well,
the
for
best
me,
I
this
can.
is all a very new thing because before I started transition, I just didn't care about my appearance at all. And I looked kind of shabby because I just didn't really want anyone to look at me.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's the
That,
way
not.
I
that
went through life. So, you know, the
that's what
idea that I
I
have to start paying attention to my appearance is kind of a new thing I'm still processing.
Hmm. Yeah, Sarah says that one of her cousins got a boob job to save her marriage. That is why. That is not why you get any surgery, any procedure like
Yeah.
that at all. Yeah, and then dad insult to injury. I guess they broke. And that's one thing that always worried me about sailing.
If someone
Um,
else is pressuring you that you need to, you know, get plastic surgery or do something like that,
you need
yeah,
to lose
that's a
them.
sign of an abusive relationship.
Yep.
I know. Let me see if they're home. Oh,
I'm
they
sorry,
are.
Jenny, you were trying to say something.
the reason mine has come up now at this late stage of life, and so many years after I first transitioned, was because I chose this very stealth life because it was easier, and at the time it was safe, for me, which was something you really had to consider.
Yeah.
And um, and when I finally got out of the car biz and could look the way I wanted to, I realized how absolutely awful I was, and and that's why it's on my mind now.
Yeah,
Um,
I get what you mean. I'm, you know, in a stealth phase now because I'm not out to my neighbors. You know, the other people in the building don't know yet. And it's difficult because, yeah, you know, I would like to, you know, go out fully dressed and presenting fully female, but I don't really have a way just to get from my apartment to my car, you know, without a bunch of people who I know are going to
well,
gossip about it.
I understand that, Perp, but at some point you got to just say, okay, I'm doing it. It's
Yeah.
gonna, but I'm going to do it.
I am. My biggest issue still is getting getting the facial hair under control so that I can actually make my face look somewhat feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything because I know what it's like when somebody says, "Oh, you just got to do it," or "I went through that, you can do it." And I know how difficult it is because I went through that whole thing where I was so afraid to go out of the house. The only thing I can think of is you try to get used to yourself, try to be confident with yourself one way or another. And
Absolutely.
maybe if you come to the point where you just don't care,
That
maybe
is
that's something that'll help.
that's how I live my life. I always say I'm a pirate, but really I just have this swashbuckling, I don't give a shit attitude.
This is another major hot button for me. Doctors who write off a whole bunch of stuff because you're overweight.
Oh
You know, because
my.
most of my partners have, you know, been big women, and I have had to argue with so many doctors about, you know, no, you're not going to write this off just because of her weight. You're going to order the test to find out what's actually wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My fiance was in pain for 3 years before they correctly diagnosed it, mostly because they kept writing it off as her weight.
And that's how things snowball.
Well, yeah, the conditions get worse because they go years without being treated.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then the cat. What are you doing?
So I closed my
No.
garage for a reason. So to lighten it up a little bit, but not too much, to bring it back to the boob job thing.
Yeah.
A long time ago, my neighbor who is a sheriff had a partner who was a woman. And I guess he was doing his partner, and his partner came to his house, which is across the street from mine, begged in her cop car, basically put a firearm to her head and was like, "You have to be with me." Okay. She took her car and was doing donuts in my neighbor's front yard with a cop car. So
Okay.
the cops came and got her. And keep in mind, if it was anybody else, they would have put, if it was you or me, they would have put us under the jail.
Yeah.
So they corral her, they take her car. My sister stood out there with a video camera and taped the whole thing. I have it. It's on my greatest hits. Long story short, it's really like every time I watch it, it's just disturbing to see a sheriff's car doing circles in someone's front yard. Like she had lost her shit.
Yeah.
So long story short, the reason I'm bringing this up is because my neighbor, they're Mormon, so they did not get divorced. He bought his wife boobs.
Okay.
To say I'm sorry.
Okay.
They still live across the street. She has these giant boobs. They have 5 kids now.
He didn't buy her giant boobs. He bought himself giant boobs.
Yeah, those were for him to play with.
Well, I bought a set of boobs 2 weeks ago, but they're the removable kind. Unfortunately.
But it just makes me laugh. Instead of like, if you cheat on me, I can't be with you. I can't be near you. I don't want to, if you buy me a car, I'm gonna go wrap it around a tree. But every time they still argue. It's a stereotypical cop relationship, but Mormons are funny that way.
Well,
Jesus,
I think it's mostly probably the cop thing because it's all about the power dynamic then.
No, I saw
It's kind of arguing about who's the dominant partner.
I would never get with somebody in law enforcement. I haven't seen a positive relationship. My uncle was a cop. He screamed at my aunt. He's probably yelling at her right now, and they're in their 70s.
It was funny. One of these anti-masker Karen videos I was watching, that she was in the store and ranting and raving, and they called the cops and they handcuffed her and were trying to stuff her into the police car. And I could just tell from the expressions on this woman's face that she was living out a fantasy, that it was her kink to be manhandled by men in uniform. She was getting off sexually on getting stuffed into the police car.
Oh, I was wondering who the Cyborg was, but if Greg is happy to see the Cyborg, then Cyborg can't be all bad.
So
you haven't met Slim.
What was the giveaway? Was it the intense moaning or was it the convulsing of the hips?
I have never seen a woman squirm like that without something being pushed up inside her.
Jesus.
Diana, you haven't met Slim the Living Cyborg?
Not to my memory.
Okay. Slim is very cool. Often hangs out with Danish on the TMI show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It
was wonderful.
Does his own very funny show called Tea and Biscuit with a friend of his that they put on these outlandish wigs and just, it's like a really bad drag performance that they take the character personas as their aunts. And they just, find funny things on the internet.
It's hilarious. When I got to meet Tea and Danish and Amiga Nuts. That was wonderful. When they came by here.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Oh yeah. You told us about that. That's
so. And then the week before, Morton and Raisin had come by.
That's awesome.
I thought Morton and Raisin lived in Denmark or something like that.
Morton is in Denmark. Tea and Danish is in Denmark. They are at the same residence. This is great. It's like
Morton and Tea and Danish have live stream Lego builds together.
Yeah, I've seen a few.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
And,
Before COVID, I was just going to crate myself up and mail myself to them so that they could unpack me and we could go on a tour of the Lego factory.
there you go.
Oh, baby, unpack me. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, not really.
Oh, boy, what time is it anyway? Okay, 14:27. We're still doing all right.
Oh, you got something coming up?
Yeah, don't we have that show with Godless Granny today?
Oh, yeah, at 7. Yep.
Everybody tune in to Godless Granny tonight.
Awesome.
And I am sitting for the 3rd day in a row waiting for the mechanic to call about me getting my car back.
What was wrong?
Oops.
I hate cars.
How much more than they thought was wrong was wrong?
Well, actually, I went last night to pick it up and drove it half a mile, and the problem was worse than when I had first brought it in, so I brought it right back there.
What was the problem?
Having the power steering pump replaced because it was screeching at me.
Oh, okay.
So I think it was a bad bearing in the power steering pump.
Yeah,
Oh,
that happens on older cars.
Yeah. So, yeah, it apparently, some bit of debris or something must have clogged one of the fittings and the power steering went out again.
well, can you get that screeching from a slipping belt as well, or no?
Well, you could, but, we checked on that and it
Okay,
was something more than that.
That's a distinct sound too.
So they forgot to refill it with power steering fluid, or they put in the wrong kind.
Well, the fluid was at the proper level.
I still think we should get rid of all cars and bring back horses. I have the hats for it.
I wouldn't mind getting rid of all cars and bringing back streetcars.
I'm for that too. I think because I've owned a million beaters, I'm just tired of cars. I went out and bought a newer car because I've owned nothing but used cars in my life, and it's just drama. I hate cars. Oh, sorry.
A lot of the streets around here, if you take off the top couple layers of pavement, you can get down to the old streetcar rails.
Oh, there's a number of places in the Twin Cities you can do that. There's actually still the opening to one of the streetcar tunnels in one of the hills in St. Paul.
Yeah, but you got light rail now.
I was about to say,
Twins.
they brought ours back because of the light rail, and they go on a lot of the old streetcar lines. So they brought all those back. They opened up a lot of old terminals out here. It's actually really cool to walk down a flight of stairs and see the 1940s.
I don't know if they still do, but at one time Toronto had Cleveland's old streetcars.
Oh, that's awesome. We still have Angel's Flight here too, and that's from the early 1900s.
Okay.
What's that?
It's a trolley car that goes uphill because LA is, the topography here is insane. It goes from like desert to beach to kind of foresty, and we have a lot of hills in Los Angeles, and in downtown Los Angeles, there's a major hill that separates, I think it's Broadway and like 3rd or 4th Street. And so Angel's Flight would go up that hill.
All right.
And it was just one of those weird attractions from the early 1900s because it probably was like the first car or something dumb. It's always it's always some distinction that no one cares about, but it's still there. And there's like a whole preservation society for it and everything because we are losing, what made us as far as like LA and a lot of the old buildings. There's a statue that commemorates, there were a group of Mormons that came and basically saved California during, I think it was the Civil War. And they fought off the Mexican army and saved California from being reclaimed. And there's a statue of them in the middle of downtown LA. And if you didn't know your history, you would be like, why is there a statue of these white guys with a Native American woman in the middle of downtown LA, but the average person doesn't know about that anymore.
Oh, I see a couple living cyborgs on Twitter, and I don't know whether either of them are slim.
So know your history. And for as much as I talk trash about Mormons, they saved California. Purple, please tell me you know that story.
I'm sorry, I was kind of distracted and I really didn't hear the whole story you were saying.
The Mormons marched down during the Civil War and they saved California from the Mexican army.
Oh, yeah.
There's a giant statue.
I know it in passing. I don't know it very well.
There's a huge statue before you go to Koreatown. I'm sorry, Chinatown. And most people just think it's some stuffy, pointless statue.
Ayana, in the private chat there, I gave you the link to Slim's Twitter. Oh, and there, Ox is throwing out Slim's YouTube link.
Yeah, because I noticed that you said you couldn't DM. I probably can't either, but I can.
Yeah, I think it has to do with Slim's privacy settings on Twitter, is that he's got to respond to you before you could DM him.
Sarah, hilarious.
Yeah, Seraphim is another person who is really in need of help. She needs to get to living someplace else. Her roommate is just a very abusive situation.
Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't DM Cyborg either. Yeah, she's in Georgia, is she? Are you? Is that it?
I think that's right. I get confused. I know it's one of the southern states there.
Yeah, it is time to add water, so it's just a matter of me getting around to doing it. This entire apartment is a matter of me getting around to doing it. I haven't been on top of my game for the last couple of weeks.
Well, my apartment's a matter of me getting around to it, and it's like I moved in here more than a year and a half ago and haven't gotten around to it.
I have a rule where if you don't touch something, it won't get dirty, so my house is pretty clean. But it's just Isaiah and I, and we're bachelors, like, you know.
Okay. Well, I use my recliner for the computer, and it is quite literally surrounded with this pile of bins of Lego sets that I need to sort out.
That's fun.
Mostly things that I need to inventory the parts count so that I can list them for sale.
Have you seen the YouTube video about the guy who built the automatic Lego sorting machine?
No.
Yeah, somebody sent me that link. Unfortunately, building the machine itself, I'm sure, would cost a few $1,000s.
I sell comic books online, and I have fun inventorying my stuff. I love going through the old comic books and looking at them.
Yeah, Nerdy, I don't know what game you need to be on top of. I mean, as far as making weird visuals, you're definitely on top of that.
So Nerdy's pictures remind me of when I used to take acid or eat mushrooms back in the day.
Yeah, Nerdy is what would have happened if Salvador Dali had 3D art programs.
Nerdy, some of Nerdy's pictures, I feel like I'm having a flashback half the time when I look at them.
Nerdy, are you familiar with the artist colony that's on Reddit? People who just do these. Do you ever know the artist Gahan Wilson?
That name sounds strangely familiar.
Think Playboy magazine. He drew these very ghoulish kind of things. He had this very bold.
Okay, I didn't recognize the name, but now I know the kind of cartoon panels you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like colored in line drawings and that kind of stuff. He did this one drawing once that just is so stuck in my memory. And now you're going to see it too. Visualize a guy who is sneezing, and he's sneezing extremely hard, and so his hands are kind of like up in the air near his head, and their fingers are bent and crinkled because he's just in that moment to sneeze where you have no control, and his eyes are kind of wide open because he can't believe what he's seeing, and out of his nose are his lungs inverted. He sneezed so hard he sneezed his lungs out, and it was just totally gross, totally funny, and I'll never ever forget it. It's just like, it's in my brain. Take it away, mommy.
Yeah, that's definitely how I felt about some of his pictures in years past when I saw him. It's like, yeah, how do you scrub that out?
No, you don't. It's there. Nerdy. Anyways, these guys do those kinds of drawings. A lot of them will take beloved characters like say Mickey Mouse, and they'll draw Mickey Mouse having sex with Dumbo the elephant, or things that are just outrageous, that are clearly offensive, and everybody says, yeah, this is offensive, isn't it great? It's that sort of thing. I wish I knew the name of it. I can't remember. It's something about apologizing, I'm sorry, or something like that.
I'm not finding the damned link. What the fuck is going on here?
Okay, it's not an immediate thing. Just when you find it, I'll post it to a Twitter group that people are asking.
Because I had given you a link, and
I know I had it months ago, but it's like I've corresponded back and forth with them so much, I'm not sure where the original link to start was.
Yeah, because back in September I had got a link, and I don't know for the life of me what I did with it.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth with them several times over the last couple of months. Because, it's like I fill out, I answer questions, they send me more questions.
Did our scubber come in the panel?
Yep, Jeff's
here. Mage is here.
Oh, they're in the chat.
No, Jeff is on the panel here.
Okay, hi Jeff. Hi.
Was Jeff on the panel? I didn't see. Oh, there he is. Nice meeting.
Hi. I'm already coming through. My internet was crapping out there for a second, but.
And I just sent a link to Slim, so he may be joining us shortly.
Oh, yay. Okay, then.
Oh, and we have someone else new here.
Yeah.
We have somebody under the handle of Sal Mindful. I don't know who that is.
Oh, I see this person quite a bit. I couldn't tell you exactly who it is, but I know the name. Yeah. Comes to my programs a lot.
And I just realized I need to give Slim a wrench.
Oh, am I going to get another
You never know when a
package?
cyborg is going to have to tighten down mechanical parts.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Amazon time of year. I've got a lot of packages lately, so I get excited when they park in front of my house.
The Prajne.
Yeah, I actually needed to. I'm late. I needed to send some Christmas gifts out, and I know they won't arrive in time now, but I need to do a couple of things.
I hope that Santa visited Stool.
Yeah, well, for me, part of the issue was waiting until I, got the final total on the car to know how much money I've got left this month.
And if your package goes through Edwardsville, Illinois, there'll be a slight delay in delivery.
We're probably going to have things being sped up because apparently they have just opened a new Amazon distribution center here in St. Cloud.
Okay, they're building one here in North Versailles.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got one on our doorstep where I live, so.
I'm actually kind of surprised they needed another one here because, obviously they've got a big one in Minneapolis, and that's only 75 miles away. So they're really going for area saturation of having one in every city now.
Oh, yeah, they are. They absolutely are.
Oh, hi, Slim.
Do any of you guys use retinol products?
Hey, Slim. Hi.
Is- or
Slim.
too girly?
I'm
Okay.
not.
Wait a minute. I've seen you somewhere. I cannot forget all that tattoo job. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure you've seen me around. I've been on a lot of channels and a lot of
Hi,
background.
Slim. Jenni
Hi.
here.
Hi.
Yeah, Slim has popped up in a lot of places the last couple of years.
Yeah, I've been around.
Slim's awesome. I know Slim. Slim is awesome.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How you doing
But you're
today?
also good at disappearing and not to be findable.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. I'm okay. I fell on my skateboard yesterday and I busted my ribs.
Oh.
So I'm
Ooh,
wrapped.
Yeah, that sounds painful.
Yeah, I'm all wrapped up right now. It was not fun. And it was going to the bar, not coming from the bar. Imagine that.
My word.
I heard that in California and supposedly other states that riding a skateboard drunk is against the law and you get a ticket just like you would if you were driving a car.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
Dewey.
Yeah.
Yeah, in some places they will say that anything with wheels is a vehicle.
So
Yeah.
ever since, you know, I'm from that skateboarding being illegal era, and like ever since I was a kid, if you're on your board and you're doing something dumb, they'll charge you with the Dewey.
Yeah. I think where I'm at, they will, but it is very, very rare. You have to be like hurting people by falling over on them and stuff for them to give you one. I'm in a college town, so a lot of things you can get in trouble for, you actually have to be doing them like horribly, you know.
Okay,
That is
there we
true.
go.
Because like in Hollywood, there's certain things that you can do that you can't get away with, like in East LA or on the West Side, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of things that are just, left up to the local police chief what he's going to enforce.
That's
That's
very true. Yeah.
I'll be
Especially
right
for
back.
small
I'm gonna use
towns.
that little blue room you saw.
Okay.
I never got used to that, like, because when I started moving around, I went from LA to Arizona, and then I moved back to LA, and then I started moving around, and the small town mentality was always weird to me.
Yeah,
Because in
I grew up in San Diego, so yeah, when I moved to Fort Collins, it was it was a culture shock to be in a
Heck
small
yeah.
town.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, heck yeah.
Well, that's why I said that, if I had been stuck in that little town in Michigan much longer, I just would have become an alcoholic. Because I just couldn't relate to the people there at all.
I'm close to that where I'm at. Being in Denver, you can get along with everybody. Everybody has an open mind, you know. Here it's a little hippie-ish, so people are more willing to listen to your way of life and say, bro, do whatever you want, you know. But it's still pretty red in the town that I'm in. So there are a lot of flags that are flying on the back of pickup trucks and a lot of people with the exhaust that blow out the big black smoke and stuff like that. So it's very hickish here still.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that here too, but I consider like a lot of them are wannabes, you know. They just do it because they think, oh, this is what I have to do. Because where I live, it's like the last bastion of suburbs, and it's the yuppies still have Trump stickers. Or
Yeah.
I recently saw a bumper sticker that said Joe and the Ho.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, man, Trump lost a while ago now. And if
Well,
it wasn't for, sorry,
No, you go. I don't mean to
I
keep
was just
cutting you
gonna
off.
say, if it wasn't for watching the Tiger King, I almost forgot about He Who Shall Not Be Named, or President Voldemort.
Okay, there.
Well, everybody.
Former president.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's be clear on that fucking point.
Oh, I was
So-
watching the Tiger King, and I'm like, yuck! I have to see this guy again.
That
Everybody here is wearing them or putting "Let's Go Brandon" stickers all over everything. So there's
So
two.
Jesus.
It's so that's my funny reminder of him, or what that those people is. Those stickers are so funny. These people are censoring themselves without realizing they don't know they're censoring themselves. It's like they're all about like no censorship, no cancel culture and stuff, and they go and censor themselves. It's like it's so great.
Same thing with the pronouns. When people are like, I will not respect their pronouns.
Well,
Mhm.
and how do these people still believe that the Republicans are the party of small government when they're literally trying to install a fascist dictator?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Trump was not about small anything besides his mind. And so that's big government right there.
Yeah,
Big
so
government.
how is it about their freedoms when they're trying to install somebody, who's going to restrict all their freedoms?
Yeah, it's silly.
Well, they
That's
don't
the
see it
people
that
who are
way.
supporting the Republicans have no clue what they're supporting.
But that's why they keep them scared. That's why they're constantly pumping them full of propaganda, because you don't think when you're scared.
That's why we're having abortion issues right now.
Mhm.
Why are we talking about abortion? We shouldn't be talking about abortion. We should be talking about the infrastructure. We should be talking about kids not starving in the streets that are already alive. We should be talking about other things that are actually important. They keep bringing up these nothing subjects.
How dare you be sensible?
When Roe v. Wade is overturned, and yes, I said when because I think it's going to be overturned.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
What are the Christians going to do then when their big single issue vote gathering thing is gone? When it's all taken care of? When there's nothing to do
Guns.
with that anymore?
Gays.
Well,
We're gonna
guns
talk
and
about
gay
guns.
marriage.
Yeah.
I need to say something about this. Greg, this thing about the emergency broadband benefits. This is a real thing that the federal government introduced during COVID. If you're eligible for it, you should sign up with your provider. I'm getting it now. I'm currently getting $50 a month off of my internet bill for this.
Well, it should be pretty much over by now, shouldn't it?
I would have thought they would have ended it now, but the credit still showed up on my last bill. So, I mean, it's apparently still there, and if you're eligible, yeah, sign up for it. It saves you money on your utilities.
I'm
Definitely.
waiting for the food stamps to end because I unfortunately think that's going to be going away pretty soon. And then once I eat the largesse I still have, because I've got about $1,000 food stamp balance because I couldn't spend it as fast as I was
Yep.
getting it. Once that's gone, what am I going to eat? But that's another story entirely.
I've been wondering about that too. I thought that the food stamp program would have run out of money for that by now, but again, I just saw the credit on my last one. Yeah, I haven't had to pay for groceries since I've moved.
Yeah, because I forget when they started that whole thing in.
Don't piss on the seat.
Say what?
Oh, sorry.
No, what was that? Did you say?
I told the guy going into the blue room, don't piss on the seat.
Oh,
Because men are pigs.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, unfortunately, they're often sloppy about those things.
Well, I don't care if they're sloppy about it. I care if they clean up after themselves because of it.
Yeah.
As far, I was getting, maybe I still am, I don't know, about $200 a month because of the COVID. That's not quite as much as I need. I don't know about any other single white females out there. If they would give me at least 100, that would be okay. Just keep that going that way. But I don't see that happening.
I'll never forget how they gleefully stopped sending me my $16 a month.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they're sending me more than that now. I think, because I would get the food stamps in 2 installments. I would get the regular installment, and then I would get the extra. I got the regular installment, which was about 50. So I'm going to see what happens with the extra. That should be coming in about a week if I get it at all. Oh God! Oh, what do we have?
Yeah, this is another issue the Republicans are stirring up about the pronouns. that any teacher that teaches using they them as a singular should lose their license or lose their job.
Yeah, and they write tweets about it that include using they, them, and their.
Hey,
And
those Kentuckians, etc., don't know how to talk anyway. God damn it.
And in New Hampshire, they got rid of critical race theory, and now there are parents telling children to report on their teachers if they teach critical race theory.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Like a child knows if they're teaching it.
Did you
hear?
No one cares.
Did you hear about the right wing no book list, or the list of books that's like 400 that they don't want kids being taught, or they don't want them in schools, and it's like LTGB rights or like stories, and it's like books that are about
anything that puts
caring
LGBT people in a positive light,
and or talking about
and
or any real American history. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I could imagine that Mark Twain has been gutted, right?
Yeah, anything that doesn't portray slavery as being this picturesque thing of the blacks being, happy to
Northern aggression makes me want to fight people. If someone was to say that, you'd be ready. If someone's like, "Oh, it was Northern aggression," I'll show you some Northern aggression.
I believe in it. I'm very, very familiar with historical revisionism in my own country. So, I mean, actually, strangely, one of the popular videos I've ever done on my channel was when I responded to a Conservative member of Parliament called Jacob Rees-Mogg. He's in cabinet now, but he made some argument on a TV channel about, because a little fun fact here: the British invented the idea of concentration camps in the Boer War. So. But he tried to make this out as if this was some sort of altruistic kind of thing. And now I'll give him one thing he did. The one thing he did get right was that yes, they were concentration camps, but they were not necessarily extermination camps as we'd think within the Second World War sense. But for him to stand there and say this was actually like an altruistic humanitarian thing the British did is a deliberate fucking lie.
Well, that's along the lines of that, bringing the blacks to America was doing them a favor.
Yeah, this was something the British Armed Forces did to essentially help them win that war. That was all it was for. It was a short-term thing. It was nothing. It was nothing to do with like housing bloody refugees or anything like Yet that argument has gotten traction in the last few years. That it was a somewhat benevolent thing. So hold on, no. We invented the concept of concentration camps as we would understand, as we'd understand them today.
Yeah. On PragerU, there was a video or two they did where they were saying that if we didn't have slavery in America, then these people wouldn't have this great life that they live right now. They would be stuck over there. And it's like,
are you effing kidding me?
No, he's not.
That's why I can't stand Dennis Prager.
And they have Candace Owens saying it too.
This is old rhetoric that they were using when the slave trade was going. Saying that it was to their benefit because we were civilizing these savages.
That sounds a lot like the Catholic Church. That in the midst of their apologies for what they did in South America, et cetera, they upended but remember that all the while they were silently awaiting the coming of the truth. Meaning the Catholic Church. It's like, fuck you.
Even right now, the UK government is giving back a lot of art.
Yes,
and because I watch a lot of African television, and every time you see Prince Charles in Africa, he's giving back art.
Yeah, pretty much. That we stole in the first place. Yeah, let's be clear about that. But,
I've watched 3 different ceremonies just this month of him going around the world like, oh, I'm sorry. Here, Ethiopia. Here's this priceless artifact that we took from you.
Well, what is the joke that every country besides the joke is every country but UK has an Independence Day?
Yeah.
You know, I actually would not mind seeing the Vatican doing that and giving back all of the art that the Nazis took during World War II that they still have.
They would
Or
have to
some of the
admit
money.
how evil and just despicable they are, though, and how gutless they are.
well,
They would-
between them and the Swiss banks, you mean? Yeah, but
yeah. So honestly, indifference to me is worse than a crime sometimes. If you don't speak up when something's happening, to me, that's almost just as bad as the crime.
yeah.
So the Catholic Church is just beyond awful.
I'm gonna say something. Now I'm gonna ask you this: have any of you guys come across this? There's this girl who's got a bit of should we say, traction on TikTok recently. It's caused a bit of a stir. Who's promoting this like pseudo history recently, saying that the ancient Rome as a civilization never really existed.
Oh, F off.
I've heard some people making that claim recently.
Yeah, I don't know if you've come across her. Okay, this is for some reason, and I do not know why. This is getting
traction,
and it's like, my initial thing hearing this is, wow, I finally heard a conspiracy theory that is dumber than flat Earth.
I was just about to say, they're flat earthers. I've been to Italy. Your theory is your theory is moot. I've been there.
This is easier to debunk than the flat Earth. But she makes all sort of claims that those buildings and those civilizations, but they actually speak Greek. They spoke Greek and not Latin, and it's all sorts of
wow.
Except all the inscriptions on their buildings I can read because I took Latin.
Yeah.
Well,
I would never
were written all free?
It's just the most ridiculous thing. And
the Roman Empire of all things, because there literally is not a country in Europe where they do not find artifacts of the Roman Empire,
or Northern Africa, or
it's all documented as it happened.
They left, and the Romans left all their shit laying behind too.
It's not like the Bible where they made it all up 400 years later.
I'm going to say,
remember,
we've got the remains of this great big fucking wall going across the north of our country here.
Exactly.
And we there's a city about 50 miles or so where I live called Bath, which is was a very famous, well, there's a bit of a clue in the name there, Bath, as to what is there. But the weird thing is, the more I listen to her, the more I see that she's got some major issue with the Catholic Church, okay? Which is something I can completely understand. But at the same point, I kind of wanted to just say to her, look, there's enough shit that the Catholic Church has actually done that you don't need to make shit up about them. Seriously?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I beg your forgiveness. I humbly apologize for having been a Catholic 50 years ago.
Dang it.
As a matter of fact, well, I've said it more than once. I was an altar boy, but I was never molested. I kind of feel left out. But yeah.
It affected you, so you're still trying to be an altered man. No, I'm sorry.
There you go.
Well,
it's not like
there you go.
Anyway.
So I Diana, if you want to send me $10, I'll sell you an indulgence. All right, how's that?
Okay, sounds good to me.
Yes.
I'll send you a tenner.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, for $1,000, I'll give you absolution. That's to anyone out there, you know.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. They
Give
were
me
doing that.
5,000, I'll make you God.
Yeah, it makes me laugh how people forget that the Catholic Church back in the day, you could pay for absolution.
It was
We
pay
still
to play.
can, if I remember
Pay to
correctly.
play.
That's
Yeah,
why the
yeah, you still
mafia.
can.
That's why the
Well,
mafia
that's,
still is around in Italy
Well,
right now.
that was
Mhm.
that was. I'm not going to say that was the reason, but the selling of indulgence was partially kind of, might have been the straw that broke the camel's back for the sort of whole Protestant Reformation in some ways, but I don't want to say it's the sole reason, but it may have been the straw that broke the camel's
Oh yeah,
back.
it was definitely one of the key factors.
Oh yeah.
That once the printing press was invented and they were selling indulgences en masse.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, hey, this is BS.
Ooh, the wind is starting to pick up.
Move.
Have you guys heard the
windy
weather
here.
reports from my area?
No,
I really haven't even looked at
We're
for my
expecting
area.
we're expecting a wind storm later today and all night. They are predicting that the steady winds will be 45 to 50 miles an hour, and the gusts will be up to 100.
Yikes.
Wow.
Dang.
And they're saying take absolutely everything that's not tied down inside, or you're going to be make it into a projectile to hurt somebody or something.
I have a very heavy metal ladder on the side of my house that I forgot to tuck under an awning or something. That thing crashed the other night. I thought my fence came down.
Okay,
So
now this one
that's
I'm
real.
seeing- Okay, now wait a minute though. How close are you to Milwaukee, hon?
About 275 miles.
Oh, okay, so that explains the difference. Because I was thinking you were close to Milwaukee. I asked for the weather, the 5-cast for Milwaukee, which differs from the 4-cast and also the 6-cast.
Yeah.
They were saying gusts up to 65 miles per hour for southern Wisconsin.
Maybe they've lessened it some, but this morning and last night it was definitely 100.
Yeah, Jenny's a bit closer
but
to
still-
Rochester, Minnesota.
Okay,
I grew
I'm
up
gonna look
and
that
never
up.
ever heard a wind speed that was mentioned for this area that was over 40.
Yeah,
And now they're
Yeah,
predicting
that's like
hurricane
tornado speed winds.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see what we've got over here. We're going to go high wind warning, southeastern Minnesota. Okay, this one says gusts up to 65 miles an hour. Maybe they've changed it. I don't know.
Well, that would be nice.
Yeah, this is NWS that has this one.
I was just looking at mine, and it looks like whenever the mechanic calls and I have to walk the mile to get to my car again, I'll probably be walking through thunderstorms.
I'd walk a mile for a camel.
I just want to get my freaking car back.
Yeah, understandable.
Well,
Well, it was supposed to be done on Monday.
I just want to get
I
a loaf of bread
suppose-
so that when the power goes out, I can make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
make
Yeah.
a peanut butter and garlic sandwich, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, it's important to have some basic supplies around.
Garlic.
Yeah.
I have plenty of batteries and flashlights.
Yeah, well, I've got the battery packs for my power tools, so I've got enough to run flashlights and radios and fans. Unfortunately, I don't have anything that I can heat up a can of soup on.
I set my flashlight down and I can't remember where I put it. I've been looking for it for 3 days.
I use magnetic flashlights, so there's always one stuck to the refrigerator and one stuck to the fuse box.
That's a
Okay,
good
now
idea.
I've got one of those, with those massive rectangular batteries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got one of those guys. You'd think with the size of the damn thing I could find it, but no.
I've got
I
a
have
really
magnets
funny one
planted in
because
me.
they used the body molding for the type you're saying with those big square batteries, but they changed it to an LED light.
Yeah, I
So,
think
so
mine
that
is
it only needs 2 AAA batteries, and when you unscrew the head, The whole assembly with light and these 2 little batteries is all in the head, and the entire body is empty. This is a fantastic device if I want to smuggle anything.
All right.
Because it's a working flashlight. And I mean, there's enough room in there to put, like, a couple of those glass cases to carry your glasses.
Yeah, huh? Oh, I missed. I used to have one of those ever-ready flashlights. It had I believe it was a steel body, and it had the momentary contact switch as well as the slide switch. So it was literally a flashlight. You could use it to send Morse.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's when I was in Boy Scouts. I learned that about doing Morse code on the flashlights.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I have an inverter, and this thing, because the power recently went out, I have it close. This thing saved me. I could plug my phone into it. I could, I was watching Netflix on my phone while the power was out.
Yeah, I've been looking into getting, some kind of an uninterruptible power source, so that when we've got the power out, I could run the computer for a couple hours.
You won't run it for a couple of hours. You run it for about a half an hour, long enough to shut it down properly. I have systems with those on them. They don't really last as long as they advertise. Anyway, you got to be careful around those inverters, though. They're very, very dangerous. I had one at home, and I was I was vacuuming the living room, and I was naked, and I happened to fall down onto the inverter. I got up, and I was a girl.
I knew you. I can tell by your tone of voice. I
We saw you
You
going
knew
there.
that was coming, right, huh?
My inverter just helps me see in the dark. I don't get any other special powers.
Well, I basically don't need anything to see in the dark. I've got cat's eyes for that.
I have a blinking.
We've had times that the power was out at night, and it's like, as long as the moon was up, I was good for navigating through the building.
Well, good. You find the flashlights.
I have cat eyes, but the strays won't come by my house anymore.
It is something that I've always been, very big on. That anybody I've lived with, that I always insist everyone keeps a flashlight by their bed just in case.
Well, the cats won't come around anymore, but you got to take those old cat skins and throw them away.
Yeah, that's why.
No, it's weirdly, the cats have adopted my house. I feel like they know something I don't know.
I always thought that if you've got a neighbor you want to get revenge on, the best way to do it is just to seed their lawn with catnip.
You know what's really funny? I had a pot plant in my backyard, and for a while I thought that's why my backyard was popular. But I clipped it for the season, and they're still in my backyard. So I don't know. They just like hanging out back there.
Didn't you say that you were, using something like cougar urine or something as a repellent thing?
Well, that was on the front yard because they destroyed my lawn. And in Southern California, a lawn is a status symbol. I live in the burbs. And, my house, if you saw the front of my house, you're like, wow, it's well kept. But it's one of those things, like everyone around here kind of keeps their house looking nice. And my neighbor's cats ruined my lawn. So I went and got cougar pee and sprayed it around the edge of my lawn, and it worked. It's synthetic cougar urine.
You know what? You don't have to spend the money on cougar pee. Seriously, you can use your own, and it works just as well for keeping cats and dogs out of your yard.
I do drink a lot of water.
Just pee in a bottle, sprinkle your own stuff, around the perimeter, any place there's a tree or a post. Make sure you scent it. And as long as you've scented the territory, cats and dogs will stay out.
Yeah.
It also works pretty well against, most other common things like raccoons and skunks and porcupines.
I also got this device because I live in the burbs, and I told my neighbor, I'm like, your cats are ruining my lawn. And no BS, he went on Amazon and got this, like, it's a flashing light. So if any animal goes near my lawn, it starts flashing, and that thing works. They hate the flashing light.
I have a question. If you can actually go to the store and buy cougar pee,
Yeah, at Lowe's.
can you get like milk? Can you get like MILF pee too?
No,
You can get all,
You got there before I did.
no. I
man.
wish I had.
I
a
thought you were
bottle.
going to ask if there was a market that you could sell yours, actually, but
It's
it's
made
fans
in a,
only. You go to fans only, and you can sell your own pee.
Hey, I don't judge. They
yeah, I never thought about that. But yeah, I suppose there are people who would.
yeah, you can. They sell it at Lowe's. I'm a hound for Lowe's because I have a Lowe's account.
Well, what I want to know is what hazmat permits do you need to ship that stuff?
I don't. I live in California, so everything's illegal here.
I don't think there'd be any hazmat permits. I think it would just be the Postal Service general things about shipping any liquids.
Hey, Slim. Do you think that if I had an OnlyFans, I could sell my pee, advertise it as a trans pee, that it's rich in estrogen, and for each day after I get my estrogen shot, the concentration is high, and then it goes lower for each day, so I charge less for the pee. You think that would sell?
I think it would sell, and I think that
There are
you'd
some
have
people
people
buying
drinking it.
And
Jenny,
especially if you said it was for a reason. You said if you want to cure this or you wanted to get rid of this or something, have you heard of the the vaccine detoxers?
Oh,
So I mean, you could go that route and say it's a vaccine detoxer.
you can sell anything online. I have a friend she's from El Salvador. She's like 5'1", 5'2". She's 30. I don't want to give her age away. She's a bit older. She sells her socks. She sells her socks to people across the country.
So when I
Jeff, are you okay?
I think he's snoring. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager and I was being taught by a dominatrix dom stuff, she used to sell gallons of bottles of her urine to this one gentleman, and she would let it sit out for a month, and then she'd sell it to him, and it was horrible. But I mean, I know there's a market for it. There are people out there that will pretty much intake almost anything until it kills them.
Yeah. Well, I keep saying I should have just started a Woo channel. I could be selling bottles of various colored water for $100 each if you pitch a good story.
Well, see, I was actually taught on how to do all that fun stuff because I'm a carny, being a sideshow artist. So I know magic. I know how to make potions. I know how to do scrying. I know how to do fortune telling. I know how to do all the woo stuff. I just have a conscience, and I can't sell people crap that I know is fake. But
that's my problem.
If I could, I'd be a millionaire right now.
My fiance and I kept saying that we'd have a lot more money if we had less ethics.
That's the thing about it. Really is. It really does have rich in estrogen on one day of the week, and then it goes down each day after that.
You could definitely.
So I wouldn't be selling anything untruthfully.
No, Jenni, and there would be people who would want that.
Sal says it relieves your dandruff. So you can market it as people say that it relieves dandruff.
And or just, you rub it. There are people that want to rub it on their body. They don't ingest it necessarily, from what I've come to understand with that product. But there's this dude who would supposedly use it as deodorant and stuff, and he paid a lot of money for it. So
that's what Nerdy was just saying. Market as perfume or incense, and not for consumption.
Exactly.
And trans P will be the next name of my band.
Yes.
I'm writing all these down. I got albums and band names for days.
Well,
I'm thinking, in that band.
Should I call it trans P, or should I piss the whole world off and call it tranny P?
You know what though? I listened to a trans woman who calls herself the anarchist she-male. You can call yourself anything,
Yeah.
Anybody
yeah,
I know?
I guess.
Her name's Arya. She's a libertarian. She's part of that whole like libertarian. She's part of that whole libertarian world, but recently she got raided because she's part of the crypto world.
Oh, gee.
And I, I'm not for crypto, but I'm anti-government kicking people's doors down. So I started supporting their cause just a little bit because they're all probably going to go to prison over crypto. Because the government doesn't like competition, and no matter who you are, where you're from, if you don't add the government, they're gonna put you in jail and steal your idea.
Did you hear the new crypto thing that's going around?
No.
It's anti-vax sperm.
Oh,
Lord. They'll say anything that undermines the dollar, they will come after you. Anything.
Yeah. That's great.
But like I said, like in America, if you're not harming people, you don't deserve to get your door kicked down just because you don't agree with the government,
Yeah, no. I agree with you.
Even if I don't agree, trans urine.
See, I'm way beyond you guys. I'm thinking, how should I package it and how should I ship it?
Hey, that one woman sold her pee and got famous. I mean her bathwater and got famous for it.
Well, yeah, Jenny.
There's definitely a way to
I would
get,
go
like,
with
lock.
it. I would just say that the post office probably will give you too much hassles, so you'll have to ship UPS.
Yeah. And then what you do is you put it in a little inserter that has a penis head on the end of it so that they can squirt it on themselves. Should it be a penis or should it be a vagina?
Yeah, a hypothetical guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
In a lot of people's fantasy of transgender people, they all have penises, even though that's very untrue.
Yeah, no, but that's what I was getting at is, their fantasy is probably that. Or it could be an either or.
Somebody is using Stan Lee's Twitter to sell NFTs? What the fuck?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh, NFTs, the images of stuff. Isn't that what NFTs are? Selling images or digital copies of something?
Well, actually, it's not even selling the image. It's selling you a receipt for having bought the image.
Yeah,
oh, that's right.
And I don't see the point of this or how this offers anything to you that you wouldn't have had with a copyright in the first place.
I know somebody was trying to convince me to do NFTs the other day, and I said, I don't get what it is, and how do I do that? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I guess I would, because people want to have images of me swallowing my sword and stuff, but I just didn't. I don't understand the concept.
The one article I was reading recently mentioned that the NFTs were susceptible to link rot. And I could see that happening. And
I was wondering about that. That what if the NFT is stored on a website that goes down?
Yeah.
Okay.
And basically, I think the whole point is nobody understands NFTs. I think anyone who understands them will not pay for one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the whole point.
When somebody first explained it to me, I thought you were, approaching a digital artist and actually purchasing the rights to one of their drawings.
Uh-huh.
Like you would be buying artwork in the real world. There's only one copy, so you kind of like have the rights to it when you buy it. But digital, of course, can be copied over and over and over, and that they would watermark the original, and that you would own the rights to it. That's what I thought it was, but apparently not.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Would that stop that person from? There's someone on Etsy that takes my pictures and tries to sell my stuff.
Okay, Nerdy's saying it's not just images. You can gain access to things using your NFT. So,
like,
I don't know. Yeah, is it an access code that you can get into certain galleries or something?
Will that stop people from stealing my pictures?
Personally, I think the whole idea of the NFT is, hey, look, I've got so much money, I can pay most of $1 million for this worthless thing and not miss what I paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That just none of it makes sense to me.
I think it is really just a status symbol, just to show that you can waste money on something useless.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's like I knew someone that recently bought a Ferrari, and they're like, "Oh, what did you do?" And I'm like, "I bought a tractor, and and it makes money instead of losing money like a Ferrari." You know,
Yeah.
showing off to me, showing off is pointless.
Well, they say that people that are millionaires and that are striving to be rich have a mental disorder of like narcissism or certain types of disorders. So most of us don't have that disorder where we need to be upclassing everybody around us. So that's one of their problems is they definitely have a problem that should be looked at. But our mental health system in the world, all around the world, mostly is very horrible.
Well,
I mean, there's
and
only
it's
a couple
something that
places.
it's something that our predatory capitalism actively encourages.
Oh,
They
totally.
want everyone
Exactly.
to have those attitudes.
Oh heck
Yeah.
yeah! Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I always I come from a semi-middle class background, but everyone worked hard to get what they have, and like I have cousins who are complete trust fund babies who wouldn't know how to sweep a floor, wouldn't know. They are the most entitled human beings on earth. I call it gold fever. When my grandmother died, everyone in my family started suing each other because they thought she had more money than what she had. You know, it's
Okay,
just
Mage said
idiotic.
that these are computer generated images. The image has a number connected to it through a blockchain, and that blockchain is what you're buying.
Oh, Bitcoin.
Yeah,
The second you
and
said
blockchains are basically the foundation of all the cryptocurrency like
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Second you said
But-
blockchain.
But how can I not steal that, or how could I not fake that, or it's so like vague on that concept that it's
Well,
hard to say.
Blockchains belong to you. It is unique for your crypto account. Nobody else has
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Well, and you may
Okay.
have the unique code, but once somebody posts the image on the internet, what's to stop anyone from copying the image once it's been displayed?
Yeah, and or stealing it somehow by logging into your account. I don't know. To me,
Yeah,
Well,
it's so
I
vague.
don't
with
even see
1,000
why
memes
anyone
I have
would.
on Twitter.
I don't see
Oh.
why anyone would go through the effort of stealing the NFT. If you've displayed the image, all they've got to do is a screen capture,
I
and
was
they
about
can
to-
copy the image and reproduce it.
If you've seen any of my videos, any copyrighted music, anything I play, I take it from a third party. So I'm stealing it from someone who's already stole it in
Yeah.
the first place. Like, what's that? How are they going to stop me from doing that? You know?
I just want to find out how I can make my nudes that popular and make that much money off them.
Oh, it's so mindful. You're right. We all hate each other. Like it's so sad. I'm half black and half Mexican. I have a huge family, and we all kind of hate each other because of money.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like
so silly.
and I know for me, realistically, if I wanted to do a lot of pictures and videos and, really show off my transition as I go, I know there's a lot of people that would pay for that as a fetish thing. I
Oh,
also
yeah.
know that would piss off a lot of people in the trans community.
Yeah, it certainly would.
It wouldn't piss me off. I'd say go
So-
for it.
there's a saying, it doesn't matter how you get there, just get there. If somebody wants to subsidize your transition, let them.
As far as I'm concerned, if somebody is willing to pay money for that, do it. This is a capitalist society, and that's what it's all about. Is somebody making money off another? Whether they're a fool or not is not your problem. You're there to make money. At least that's how business has the attitude.
Perfect
Now,
example. Sorry. Jeff.
If I can make money off my transness, fine. Why not? If somebody wants to pay for it, why I'm perfectly willing to sell it. It's not the capitalism that's corrupt. It's the capitalist.
Yeah.
I agree. Look at this stalker machine that someone bought me. I'm using it.
Well,
I'm using it right now.
my big question for it, where it becomes an ethical issue of, doing it myself is that, yeah, I can make money off of it. But by doing that, am I, promoting negative attitudes towards trans people?
Okay, the way I look at it, and take me for what I'm worth, which isn't much, people are going to have their attitudes no matter what.
Thank you. I don't fit any stereotype, and I tick off everybody.
Yeah. Well,
pick a
like
box.
for me, the question always comes down to, is what I'm doing, can it negatively impact anyone else?
Well, so many people take this negative attitude thing. Sorry guys, but they take it so far where anything can be taken to be a slur against somebody. I've run into a lot of problems simply because I take a scientific, not a scientific view, because that word's misused. I take the view of a researcher rather than a sociologist.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of crap for that.
Well, and it's tempting if I could find some way to bring money in, because like I say, the estimate I got from the electrolysis is, like $7,000. And that's just kind of me getting started. That's not even considering any kind of surgery or anything.
Right. And the last number I saw was somebody who had surgery 25 years ago and paid $25,000. So I don't know what they want now.
Oh, it's outrageous. It's outrageous.
I'm sure.
Mine in 1994, and this was just bottom surgery, and
you had yours that late.
Money to a charlatan was $10,000.
Yeah. Okay, and so this is the question that, what is the wrong attention?
Well,
if I'm doing it to sell it to people who just see it as a fetish, isn't that the wrong attention?
I think as long as you don't put yourself into the negative light, like you're pushing yourself as a negative, we're all, as long as you're not saying that word it so that you're putting yourself as the power person, I guess is the way to put it. Don't put yourself as the under, does that make sense?
Yes, I have a saying. It's remember your worth. So do what is up to your tolerance. Screw everybody else. Like, do what's up to your tolerance. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Because
it's for empowerment of me and us instead of for degrading myself to do this for you.
Yep.
Okay, so like not playing up to the fetish of the victim role.
Yeah. Be the dom in the situation of the fetish, I guess, is the better a way to put it.
But in terms of crowd reaction, some people are so adamant about their position. They will consider you a traitor or a bad person as a trans person if you even talk to a chaser.
Yeah. Well, and
don't move to LA.
one example I have is like when we were doing our game nights and we would make off-color jokes because we're playing games. People would come in and say, "Oh, you're being this phobic or da da da." We're playing games. In certain lights, you don't make fun of certain people or in certain ways. But when we're trying to make people laugh or we're trying to have fun, we didn't like delve into actually making fun of certain types of people. But off-color things happen because you're trying to be silly. And you have to remember where you're at, if you go to a comedy club, it's there to laugh.
Yeah.
Even if they say something off-color, you have to go, they're doing it to try to get a reaction. Online,
I got a lot of flack once for a piece of historical fiction I wrote because people were saying that the characters were racist. And I'm like, I'm writing this as something that happened during the Civil War. Yeah, a lot of the people would have fucking been racist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
exactly. It's context that people keep forgetting. Some of these people go everywhere, and they go, "Oh my God, you're talking about this," and you're like, "Well, we're talking about it because we're in a stream that's discussing it, and I have to talk about it." Or history. I hate to say this, but back in the day, there were people that were marrying 14-year-olds. Is it right? No. But did it happen throughout history? Yeah, you have to say things did happen. So you do have to discuss certain things. Don't be pro it, or like you were saying in your fiction writing, you had to if you didn't write that way, then it didn't fit the time.
Yeah, the characters would not have been believable for the time they were supposed to be living in.
I
Yeah,
lived
you
in Leon, Sinaloa in Mexico. There's people that are still marrying 14-year-olds, you know? Like,
I think you can still do
Yeah.
it in Georgia, can't you?
Yes, there are a couple states where you technically can still marry very young.
I consider under
Yeah.
35 young.
Well, you know, and we think that this is weird, but there are still so many ceremonies that happen
Yeah.
quite young. In the Catholic Church, you get confirmed when you're 14. That's supposed to be recognizing you as being an adult in the church.
Yeah.
What's
Well,
the
yeah,
Hispanic
quinceañera,
celebration of the girls coming out when they're 15?
right? A
Quinceañera.
quinceañera.
Yeah, the quinceañera, yeah.
That's technically supposed to be coming into womanhood and same difference. And then there is the there's another thing in that a couple other religions where the same thing. It's when she turns 14, they have the dad-daughter dance or whatever, and there's all these different rituals, which is the same thing. As soon as she's able to get her period, then she's able to be married off. Obviously, we don't do that in some cultures. I don't know how many still may.
And in the South, they have a thing called cotillions.
Yeah, I think, is that the dad-daughter dance thing?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay. I forgot what it was called, but that's what I was speaking of, is that weird dance.
Whoa.
Yeah, when you get right down to it, these things are the family advertising that the daughter is available for marriage.
Yep.
So under Sharia law, you can marry 10 years old up.
Well, considering the Prophet Muhammad had a, what was it? He was married when she was
14?
6 and, supposedly consummated when she was 9.
Yeah, and in real,
Whoa.
and she existed and her family was really rich. And I think that's one of the reasons that he married her in the first place, because he was an illiterate guy in the desert.
I thought they waited. Well, I know like Egypt, if you married at 14 or 12, they waited until 16 or a little around that time to actually consummate the marriage or something like that. But again, back in the day, imagine what it was like to live as like, I want to say Neanderthal or, an old world. Nowadays, we know better that people's brains don't develop until certain times.
Yeah.
And it's like, that kid or that person shouldn't be around or dealing with this yet. Let them grow up.
Well, most American
also
brains don't.
it's the life expectancy is so much longer. We are adults longer.
That was a major
in
thing
medieval
for sure.
times, most people didn't live past 40.
25 or whatever. So
Up until penicillin, the average person didn't live up until 40.
Yeah.
The population after from 1939, the Earth's population was 2 billion. Imagine how many people we have now, just in an 80-year span.
About 8-9 million billion.
But in the Bible, it said that people lived to 500. What are you talking about?
Now, actually, I heard something that really does explain that well for the Bible, that they used a lunar calendar. So they're not talking about years, they're talking about moon cycles. So if you divide all those ages by 13, they kind of make sense.
I almost got into a fight with a black Israelite on the street when he was like, how can you explain the ages of these people? I was like, man, they couldn't count back then. He did not like my answer. He did not.
I think also, especially when it came to people that were historically noteworthy, that it just kind of improved their prestige to exaggerate their age.
Hey, you guys, a question for you.
Yeah.
Blue or purple?
Purple.
Well, purple, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
My answer is yes.
You're sitting with somebody named Purple and somebody named Lavender. What kind of response did you have?
I don't have to make assumptions.
Well, and there were giants, right?
I'm doing my makeup. I'm doing my makeup in the car. In case
Okay, so I saw this statistic that like And this is speaking more on the Vikings. Like the average Brit was like 5'4", 5'5". So when the Vikings showed up and they were 6'1", they looked huge.
Yeah.
They looked like otherworldly, but it was just a different dynamic, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the same thing back in the biblical days. I think David was like 5'2" and Goliath was like 6'4" or something, you know? Or just the biggest guy in the village.
Well, and don't we not agree on what a stone was? Isn't there different measurements for a stone?
Sure.
I still to this day have not got a real answer on that.
Yeah, so that's the other thing as well. They're like, he was 20 stones tall. And so some people want to translate that as 40 feet. And then other places want to say 20, you know, they want to...
Stones were a weight measurement, not a height. Hands.
Oh, okay. It was hands. Okay, that's what it was. Sorry. But still hands, you know, that still can be off by how much? So,
huge.
Yeah.
Well, even the size of the arc they argue about, because depending on which standard you go to, a cubit can be like anything from 16 to 22 inches.
That was the other thing. Yeah, that
I've
was the
always
other
wondered
thing
about
is
that too.
Nobody has any correct measurements on that. And of course the Bible gets what pi wrong?
Yeah, so you're talking about a measurement that has an error factor of 40% and multiply that by 300. It makes a bit of a difference.
Does it
Size does matter in that case.
Size matters in lots of cases.
I was about to say, hey, as a size queen, it matters, and they're lying to you if they say it doesn't.
I have to admit, for me, that the size definitely matters. But, you know, I know how to use it properly, so I won't waste it.
But, you know, like I say, don't ever take medical advice from sewing. It's my own personal opinion. I live in one of the gayest places on planet Earth.
No one should ever take medical or legal advice from anywhere on the internet. You must consult the proper professionals for these things.
Totally. Well, that's why they say measure it twice and insert it once. Oh, no, that's something different. Sorry.
That's life advice, though.
Measure once, insert many, many, many times.
Oh, that's right. I got it wrong. It's insert many times after the measurements. That's right. Okay.
That is one of the greatest Bernie Mac jokes. He's talking about sex, and in the middle of what he's talking, he grabs himself and he's like, I can't do shit anymore. And everybody started laughing because he was an older man and he admitted like he can't be the hammer like he used to be, you know?
Yep. Commander 401 is saying Goliath probably had, if I'm pronouncing this right, acromegaly.
Acromegaly.
A pituitary tumor. In all likelihood, when he was hit in the head with the rock, he died because he burst the blood vessel. And that could certainly explain it. And there are different forms of giganticism, but pretty much all of them wind up in, the skeleton being deformed in some way, so that people aren't really that stable. They may look impressive, but it's not hard to knock them off their feet.
They believe that Abraham Lincoln had acromegaly.
Oh, wow.
That would make sense because he was a tall man.
You know, I'm a hardcore WWF fan, and what you said, Slim, totally reminded me of Andre the Giant. He walked around with a cane.
Yep.
Most of the largest people in Guinness Book in the recent years, in the last like 10 or 12 that I've been watching or looking over all the Guinness Book World Records, most of them, even the largest woman right now, she's walking around with a cane. So yeah, they're very disabled, unfortunately, until what most likely happens is they have a heart attack because their heart cannot keep up pumping the blood throughout their body. So
I do not know any extraordinarily tall people who don't have back problems.
Well, and Sal was mentioning about food choices and food options affecting it, and that's very much the case. I mean, your genetics give you potentials that may not be realized without proper nutrition.
True.
And
After World
think of-
War II, the average height of a person in Japan went up like 5 inches in one generation just because of better
Protein.
nutrition being available.
exactly.
That's crazy. You know, I know a lot of ex NFL stars, a lot of ex athletes, but they're more messed up from their head being hit a bunch. I never thought about that. I do know a man who played in the NFL in the 60s, and he is hobbled and cannot walk up a flight of stairs and lives in my neighborhood because it's one-story houses.
And Mage does make a valid point about the life expectancy increasing because of fewer kids dying. That, yeah, when the infant mortality rate is much higher, it does bring the life expectancy down just because you have a lot of kids who are dying when they're less than a year old.
Yeah, there's a lot of us.
Yeah, which
nowadays.
is why I don't like the average as a metric. I prefer the median, which the difference is for the average, you add up all the values and then divide by the number of values. For the median, you look at the values and pick the value most represented. So if there are more, if you have values from 1 to 10 and there are more 6s than any other value, then 6 is the median.
Okay. One thing I didn't realize was happening throughout history as much as there's been the bubonic plague multiple times. I mean,
Yes.
it happened like really bad one time, and then also, what's the thing that makes all the bubbles come on you? Not chicken pox, but the other one.
Oh, not leprosy.
Smallpox.
Yeah.
Smallpox or measles? Yeah.
Smallpox, yeah, it has happened through like a long portion of history, longer than I honestly knew, and they actually went through pockets of it. So the only reason we won the Revolutionary War in the Americas is because we were able to inoculate from smallpox, because the British kept coming over here and they had already gotten it over there, and the survivors were coming here as military forces.
And there were go ahead, I'm sorry.
And they were giving it to us slowly, and so they had to figure out a way to like get them away, inoculate, but they couldn't make everybody get it, because they didn't want the other side to know that they were inoculating everybody, and if everybody got inoculated, they'd be out for 14 days. And so they went through this whole process of getting people enough inoculation or enough vaccines that we could keep the war going. So it was this huge, long, drawn-out process that I didn't know there was these life debilitating diseases out there as constant throughout history that there was.
Yeah.
Because we have vaccines, so we don't even understand the concept of trying not to get these weird, crazy things, other than what we have going on now.
Jenny was next. Jenny's next.
Smallpox was eliminated from the face of the planet in our lifetimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have
Okay, and you know how they did that? Immunizations. Now, back in the 1700s, when they discovered the concept of immunizations and stuff, pretty much how Slim's discussing it, there were anti-vax movements just like there are today, with almost the exact same words.
Rhetoric. Yeah. It's crazy how history repeats itself.
Even right now, pre-COVID in LA, our homeless population grew so large that there was a form of measles that they tested people for, and they were like, this is literally from the 16th century. How they knew that, I don't know, but we had old school measles literally less than 30 miles from my house, to the point where I didn't go downtown for almost 2 years because I was so scared.
Yeah, measles was a big one that we had virtually eliminated it from the US. And then the anti-vaxxer movement started, and we started seeing tens of thousands of cases.
And
it started with Andrew Wakefield and the lie about the MMRs, but then it spread with people like Jenny McCarthy, and people started believing these idiots.
Is that the dude that wrote that book that was like faked? He like messed up all the results.
Well,
and
Andrew
stuff,
Wakefield is the one who published the study that supposedly showed vaccines caused autism.
Autism,
But his entire study was just flawed in so many ways. and actually his medical license was revoked when they reviewed it.
I believe he was jailed. Let me look that up. I think he was
And,
jailed.
and that was all. It was all about money. He didn't want to discredit all vaccines. He was trying to discredit a specific vaccine because he was invested in a company that was producing a rival vaccine.
It was his
totally. Yeah. And then Mark Short's got it right. It's the vaccine for smallpox is the cowpox, and that's what vaccine means, is cow vaccine. And then what's funny is we call it the chicken pox. So it's the cow pox with a chicken pox. So it's an animal pox. Damn, animals. Well, isn't that how we got what we have now is from bats? So
no, they haven't determined that.
Okay, people need to stop getting so close to animals, I guess.
Well, one of the scary things about COVID is how easily it seems to be jumping to other species.
Yeah.
Because now they have found it literally in like a dozen different mammals carrying COVID.
Cats.
Yeah,
totally.
Cats and dogs and wild deer and hippos in a zoo.
Yeah.
Oh, deer are so dumb.
I didn't hear about the hippos, but I believe it. I mean,
it's a coronavirus, and if the coronaviruses know anything, they know how to mutate.
Well, that's their job. How do you exist without, is to do that, is to find a weakness inside of your host and to get that to spread and then to keep spreading and then to make new versions. It's just like bacteria that you put in a petri dish and you have antibiotics and you put it in a line. Eventually, we'll find a way to get through that antibiotics.
TB is still around. I lived in Mexico and I had to get a bunch of TB shots because I did not know in Mexico they're immune to tuberculosis, but a lot of people are carriers because tuberculosis, it needs a way to live, and
so it'll hibernate.
Exactly. So if you're not from there, so if you travel, always get your shots.
There are also new strains of TB that are far more virulent than the ones that were around, say, in the turn of the 18th or 20th century, and they are very concerned that they're not going to be able to cure this if it were to ever get away from them right now.
Yeah,
it's what has helped spur them into looking at phages and different things like that instead of antibiotics.
Call me bitter or whatever you want to call me, but maybe what planet Earth needs is a good plague that'll wipe out 2/3 of the human population.
I've seen that movie. I hope I survive it.
I thought we were almost there with the anti-vaxxers. I thought we were going to lose at least like half, but we'll see.
100 million.
Phone call. Be right back.
100 million people died with the Spanish flu. So we're not even near those numbers yet. So we'll see what COVID really claims.
Well, the last number I saw was 800,000 here in the U.S. Is that about right?
Yeah, we lead the world. We're number one. We're number one.
Yay, number one
USA,
again. We're
USA.
Oh. I always find it ironic, like the people who claim to be the most patriotic, who claim to they're always like, I want to be left alone, but I want to have the right to harp on everybody else and ruin everybody else's life. I'll never understand that. It would be patriotic to leave people the hell alone, and not care about trans people or not care about gay marriage or things that we've already established and we've moved on from,
Especially since the Bible does tell them to love thy neighbor and to not mess with anybody. Don't judge unless be judged.
Well, you've got to remember now that when you're reading Love Thy Neighbor, what it really translated to was love your fellow Jew. Outside that's
true. I get that.
In the I've been down and out. I say this all the time because as an atheist, I don't want to harp on Christians too much because Christians helped me out when I was homeless. They were always under weird bridges, helping out the giving out crust food. Punk. Yeah, always.
Totally. Totally. We got a lot of free stuff from Christians when we were all homeless. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Dude,
Well,
I
you think where
when
you
I
are.
lived in Portland, my ex roommate and I, we were like hobo bachelors. We hadn't been in an apartment in 10 something years. The Mormons hooked us up. They gave us furniture and stuff, you know.
Oh, the Mormons did? Oh, hell yeah.
Holy shit, man. When I was homeless, there were people telling me that I was homeless because I wasn't a Christian. That I didn't believe
That's
in God.
awesome.
So I was being punished.
That's
See, they tried the see that's my whole point though. Like something's changed where Christians are like outwardly dickheads now. At first
yeah,
they would lure you in and then they would show their true colors, you know?
yeah.
It's
We'd
really
be
weird.
we'd be living on the beach in the 90s, and they would come up with donuts and coffee and
Totally.
give it out, and they'd be like, here's lunches. Or if you went to certain churches, and I was talking with my girlfriend the other day, and she's like, when we ran out of gas, we would find a church, we'd park in front of the church, and we'd go in, and they'd give us gas vouchers, and they'd give us like vouchers for things. So it was like, we a lot of us knew if you had a problem, you just go to the Christian church and like they hook you up.
Oh yeah. And especially like there was a saying when I lived in Portland, like if you're skinny and homeless, you don't know what you're doing. They would feed
Yeah.
people 4 to 5 times a day.
Yeah,
you know.
totally.
Okay, people.
Um,
Apparently, my car was ready 3 hours ago, and they didn't bother to tell me.
Oh,
So I
no.
need to wrap this up so I can go get my car.
Okay,
All right,
totally.
I gotta go buy shake and bake anyways. It's pork.
So
night.
yeah, let's just go around. Anybody have anything they want to plug? Slim, why don't you go first?
I'm doing a lot of live shows again. Since things are semi-opening up in the Americas, we still got to wear masks and show our cards, which is wonderful. I mean, I love that. If somebody could post my channel in the side chat, that would be wonderful. Everybody come and check out my stuff. I'm going to be playing games again and hopefully doing a game night. And I would love to do crazy shite again. So hopefully, since my lifestyle's changed, I would like to do streams again. So check out my channel, and we'll see y'all soon. Thank you very much, Purple.
You want to put your channel link in the chat here?
Private chat? Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I'll
I've
pick it up and
I've
drop
got it. I'm about to drop
Oh,
it.
you
in
got
the
it?
YouTube
Okay.
chat.
So thank you very much, and thank you for letting me be
Yeah.
on Purple.
Well, and also
No,
as
thank you for
usual,
coming.
everybody who was in here, all of their links will be in the description when this posts.
Awesome.
Perfect. And I will send you a message of my email so that you can email me. I don't go on Twitter like ever, so we'll be in contact in other ways. I'd like to be on more often and hang out with you all. You're a lot of fun, and I love the topics that you bring up. You definitely push the boundaries of societal topics, and I love that.
Well, it's just whatever anybody's got on their mind, Yeah, I'm kind of being forced onto Discord now against my will, but
I suppose I'll have to do something with that. I've had a Discord channel for years, and I haven't done shit.
well, I've just had more and more people that I need to stay in touch with who have had it with Twitter. So
it's a wonderful place for connecting and doing things and sharing stuff that's not on a corporate level that I come to understand. So I'd rather be there than a lot of other places. So thank you very much.
Okay. Jenni?
Yeah.
Just wondering if you had anything to say before we go.
Oh, not a lot, this and that, here and there. A little bit, little more, a little much. Sometimes this, sometimes no.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I'll be on with you again tomorrow night at midnight, honey bunny.
Yep.
And,
well, tomorrow at 10 p.m. Central.
Yeah. Didn't we have something going at 6 o'clock also?
Yeah. I was gonna get to that. So
okay.
yeah, I got some plugs.
I didn't say that. It did nothing. Forget it.
No, that's fine. Will?
Okay.
There you go.
I had to unmute myself.
Caught you off guard.
How's it going? I'm Godless Sewing from the Godless Sewing channel. Go down and subscribe to the Godless Sewing channel. Right now, I'm making a video about, I made a vest from scratch. I showed off my African hat, and I'm probably just going to make a video about all the crazy stuff that I've been making lately. And I'm thinking about doing a year review, and I might put on all the crap that I've made this year. So go looking for my next video. Godless Sewing, wear a mask, and remember, if you can't run to the Godless Sewing channel, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. And if you can't crawl, have someone carry you. Godless Sewing, Godless Sewing.
Awesome.
Okay, Diana.
Yay! Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. I am Diana Clary and the Lavender Lady. How the hell are you? Yes! All right. Aside from the usual Lavender Lady stuff, in about 4 hours, isn't it, Purple? Purple and I will be on
with Godless Granny
Granny's channel talking about winter celebrations and that sort of thing. And
Saturnalia.
say again?
Saturnalia?
Yep, whatever tradition you care to observe.
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
And then let's see. I think I'm going to try to upload a transgendered chef today so I can premiere it tomorrow. And then Sunday will be my next show, Sunday at noon, Coffee with Lavender. And then Tuesday will be the Lavender Open Chat Solstice special. Oh, yeah, because I believe it falls on the solstice this year, the 21st.
I
And
did
then-
not look which day of the week the solstice was yet.
Okay. And then let's not forget the Purple-sponsored 4th annual Christmas marathon stream, where Purple and I and a whole bunch of other people will be doing our thing with a relay. And for those of you who don't have anybody at home, or for those of you who do have somebody at home but would like to watch us together, you know, you can just come by and then So Mindful, Transgendered Chef. That is my other channel. That is my cooking channel, which someday I'll actually do something with. But it's I'm a little busy today, and tomorrow is dialysis. So maybe Friday I'll bake an apple pie and film that and put that up in the Transgender Chef soon.
I just realized that we have been omitting that apparently the link for your Transgender Chef channel is not in the show list, so that hasn't been in the descriptions.
Oh no, that's horrible.
I'll have to get that link from you, and I'll have to tell Amiga Nuts to correct that in the next edition.
Yeah, I'll send that to you. It's one of those vanity links, so it should be easy to remember. I just can't remember if it's Transgendered Chef or the Transgendered Chef. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I thought I had it in there, and I was just looking at the description for the show, and it's not there yet.
Yeah,
but we
right.
will get that, and I will edit it into the description here.
That sounds like a whole bunch of fun. It really does.
Hey, Perp, what time is it?
Going on 3 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for good old Greater Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh, there you go. Mage threw the link up there.
Danke schön. And if anybody is thinking of coming out to Pittsburgh for a vacation, I would question your sanity. All right.
So we can celebrate the holiday in any way we choose, really?
Yeah. Can you imagine that?
Groundhogs roasting on an open fire.
Yeah, all right. Yeah,
well, okay. Within certain restrictions, okay, you are still not allowed to cook endangered species.
Right.
Groundhogs don't count.
I can still do my new dancing, right?
I don't understand the people. Well, yes, I do understand the people. And I wish it wasn't that way. The people who bitch and moan that, you know, they're not saying Merry Christmas and everything else. You know, I mean, there are Jews who do the Hanukkah thing, you know, as well as people like me who do the solstice. And
come on, Diana, you know it's just propaganda bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Totally.
And, I don't know. You know, happy holidays makes sense to me, but
I see that because I'm around a lot of at my job. I work with a lot of people that are Jewish, and they could care less about Christmas.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, my turn.
Your turn.
I got notes this time.
B flat.
Well, of course, we will be back here tomorrow at 10 p.m. Central for our usual Thursday night show. And next week, Wednesday at noon and Thursday at 10. And then, as Diana mentioned, in 4 hours, we will be on with Godless Granny, discussing what holiday traditions people celebrate, even if they're not religious. And then tomorrow, here at 6, I'm going to have Godless Granny on my channel talking about the downsides of promoting the Santa Claus myth to children.
Awesome.
And Jenni will be joining us, and I think that Judy the Apostate, I'm not sure if she's going to make that. And then, yes, then also we have our Christmas Relay Marathon, which is going to start at 5 a.m. on the 24th, because that is when Christmas Day starts in New Zealand, and running all the way until 4 a.m. on the 26th, because that is the last stroke of midnight Christmas Day in American Samoa. I still do have some time slots open here, so if anyone else wants to get in on this, DM me on Twitter about kind of what times you might be available, and I'll see if we have a time that we can fit you in when you can do it.
Sweet.
So I've
That
got
sounds
like
good.
I've got like 4 time slots on Christmas Eve and like 2 more time slots on Christmas Day still.
Oh wow! So a lot of them have been filled. That's great. Yeah,
Yeah, most of them. Actually, in the last 2-3 days, I've filled up quite a lot of them. I did a lot of scrambling on Twitter trying to coordinate so everybody got a time slot they liked and shuffling people around.
You've got me for what, 11 Eastern, I think.
Where are you? No, you're much earlier in the day. I've got you for 4 p.m. Central, which would be 5 Eastern on Christmas Day.
Okay, wait a minute.
So
5 a.m.
no, 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Okay,
5 in
great,
the afternoon.
Great. Let
Yep.
me
So
write
you're
that down.
you're coming on right after Godless Granny, and you'll be handing off to Jim of Atheist Edge.
Good enough. I like it.
Who will be handing it off to some loudmouth named Godless Selwick.
You're a bit later in the evening yet.
Oh.
Actually, we've got 2 empty time slots in between Jim and when you come on, because you're coming on 10 p.m. your time, which is midnight my time.
I shouldn't open my mouth, but keep me on tap for any time slots you don't fill on Christmas Day anyway.
Yeah, I might finally do that pole dancing I've been threatening for 3 years.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, Perp, are you going to show that video of me getting arrested while having sex with Santa Claus at the department store?
Nice. I want to watch that.
Jenni, if you will email me the video, I will play it.
Yeah, that's right. If we transmit it over, we're breaking the pornography laws.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you everybody in the side chat for showing up. And of course, I need to thank my Patreon supporters that are sending me some money every month. Our newest supporter is Dog, who is joining the Lavender Lady here, Greg Hartwick, Robert X, and Ox, who have all been in the side chat today. Junie the Apostate, who does my avatar and has said that for the holiday she's going to do some more artwork for me, so that's going to be exciting to see what she comes up with. And Von Rick and X from the Utah Artcast. So definitely appreciate all of you, helping me keep things going here. So, and with that, I will bid you all a good afternoon, and we will see you tomorrow night.
Bye.
Bye.
Rub it
Bye.
out with your